Alrighty then. Hello everybody, welcome. Sound of the fan is going to be very loud and very prominent here on today's stream, but I cannot help that. It is too hot. No, you have 30 minutes left on the video. Yeah, I talked about that AMA video yesterday on yesterday's stream, and I'd already made it, except edit and all. I guess that was a fair chunk of the production process, but I'd basically already done a ton of it. And it's up now, but it only just went up on YouTube really today, just before this stream. Because essentially, like, by the time I ended yesterday's stream, we started an hour later, so I ended it at about 8 o'clock at night. And then I was editing until about 10 or 11 p.m. Then I triggered the render, and it's a 3-hour render. It got 2 hours in, so we were at 1 a.m., and it crashed. So then I re-triggered the render, and it's well after midnight, so I went to bed. So I wake up this morning with a video and do the upload, and the upload took ages today, like ages and ages and ages. So I only finally got up at about, you know, a couple of hours ago, before today's stream, which is just mental. But anyway, it's up now, and obviously there's a lot of content there. Sorry that I'm doubling up, but, you know, there's been a lot to talk about. Jesus. And we're going to be continuing with our story playthrough of Corner now. Not doing any advertising or anything fancy today. I'm just going to get in there and we're just going to play a little bit and we're going to relax and have some fun and chill out. I'm really low energy today. I don't know why, but fairly low energy. But I did want to... Well, I've got at least one cool thing I want to talk about as soon as we're done with the intro. So I'm going to go to the intro now. I'm going to go get my coffee. You guys can do the same and we'll meet back up in a few minutes. When everyone's got time to shuffle in. I'll at least tell people on Discord that I'm live, and I'll see you all very soon. All right. I'm back. How's it going, everybody? Hope we're all doing good. Let me tell people on Discord. Probably could have done that before re-clicking back over here, but that's fine. There you go. Very lazily done. Boom. Oh, we dipped back below 1,000. Damn it. Well, I'm too low energy to do some massive plug. All right, so check this out, guys. All right. I did a bit of a looking up after what I was talking about at the start of yesterday's stream because it irritated me how poorly I described myself. Okay, so we're not going to spend long on this, but listen, the Murray Gell-Mann amnesia effect. So this is a post from August 23rd, 2011 by a person called Gene Veith, who is talking about Joe Carter, who's quoting Michael Crichton. So I guess it's Michael Crichton from a 2012 essay is what we're actually dealing with. So Michael Crichton, 2012. He wrote an essay that's called Why Speculate. All right. So listen, this is from Michael Crichton back in 2002. Did I say 2012? 2002. All right. He says this. Media carries with it a credibility that is totally undeserved. You have all experienced this in what I call the Murray Gell-Mann amnesia effect. I call it this name because I once discovered it with Murray Gell-Mann, and by dropping a famous name, I imply greater importance to myself and to the effect than it otherwise would have. I don't know who Murray Gell-Mann is, by the way, or if it's even pronounced that way, but anyway. Briefly stated, the Gell-Mann amnesia effect works as follows. You open the newspaper to an article on some subject you know well. In Murray's case, physics. In mine, show business. You read the article and see the journalist has absolutely no understanding of either the facts or the issues. Often, the article is so wrong, it actually presents the story backward, reversing cause and effect. I call these the wet street cause rain stories. The papers are full of them. In any case, you read with exasperation or amusement the multiple errors in the story, and then turn the page to national or international affairs and read with renewed interest as if the rest of the newspaper was somehow more accurate about far-off Palestine than it was about the story you just read. You turn the page and you forget what you know. That is the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. I'd point out it does not operate in other arenas of life. In ordinary life, if somebody consistently exaggerates or lies to you, you soon discount everything they say. In court, there is the legal doctrine of fallus in uno, fallus in omnibus, which means untruthful in one part, untruthful in all. But when it comes to the media, we believe against evidence that is probably worth our time to read other parts of the paper, when in fact, it is almost certainly isn't. The only possible explanation for our behavior is amnesia. There you go. That's what I was talking about. And obviously, I'm not saying that that's a fact of life, or that that's some incredible remark and thought that is definitive of the world's experience. Obviously, you can question that. It's a leaping point and a platform for discussion, which I really liked and really speaks to me. But yeah, that's what it was called. Riddick Stan says, you wondered why Jessica Price had tons of downvotes on our AMA. First thing that came to my mind is some people went back to the AMA and downvoted her because of the drama. Yeah, someone's got a comment on my YouTube channel about that already. And I'll just say, obviously that crossed my mind. The reason why that doesn't quite add up, and I should have clarified in the video, but hey, it's an hour and a half. I didn't want to bag it down too much and I would have slipped there. But that did cross my mind. The thing is, though, it seems so random which of her comments had that kind of treatment. Like we already established, you look at the upvotes, look at the numbers. There's very few upvotes, there's very few downvotes on all of this stuff. Not just Jessica, not just Peter, on nearly all the devs. Some of them catch on, but as always with those AMAs, most people don't dig in them. They don't look. That's why those videos I make are a success, really, because I can put it out there when other people won't dig for it. So you know, if you broaden your scope a little bit, you realize like it is kind of weird that just one of her, it's like literally 2 of her messages, I think, in the entire thing were downvoted, and they weren't at the top of comment threads. They weren't like massively controversial things. They were just sort of like buried in the trees with everything else, and just randomly like, and not even inflammatory topics, you know, not even relate. Like the post itself that literally she then later repurposes for Twitter, the post from Step W, who prompts the answer, that is the post, and that's like got completely mundane, no interest in terms of like upvote downvotes. It's just got people being nice about it, literally. And the people being nice haven't been downvoted. Like, it's easy to hate this woman now because, yay, pitchforks, witch hunts. That's what all anyone wants to do, and they just mindlessly downvote stuff. So they're on Reddit right now, legal voting still. It's not archived or anything. There are people saying, oh, Jessica, you're amazing. Oh, my God, look how professional you are. This is so cool. Jessica, you are the best person in the world. There's loads of people saying that kind of stuff. They're not downvoted. My point is that the brigades, as many, is a lazy brigade. It's not actually looked that far. All they care about is like the more prominent threads. So yeah, I don't really know why the downvotes were there. I don't really care that much, but yeah. I know it's probably your chill out game, but is there any chance for any Stellaris content? Maybe on Wood Potato Soup, it might be fun to watch even with minimal commentary edits. I have thought about that before, but I don't know. I've never, not in 3 years of being on this website, found a way to be comfortable sort of being really passive on a stream. I've never, ever found a way to do that. I get really freaked out. If I'm silent for more than like 20 seconds, I start getting stressed out and thinking I'm not doing my job well and blah, blah, blah. So, and the way that Stellaris is played, it's very much, it's a great game to stream if you kind of enjoy those really laid back passive things, but I've never been comfortable with myself with that. I feel too boring, and I feel like I look lazy and this and that and the other things. So if I do Stellaris one day, it would be like a serious endeavor, and I'd really relish and love treating it as a serious endeavor because it's a cool game. There's so much fun stuff you can do. If you guys look back when I originally played Grimrock and introduced that to people, I made my party Guild Wars characters from the original Let's Play. I would do something similar for Stellaris. I'd create loads of preset empires that are like the Skrit Empire and the Asura Empire and the Norn Empire and stuff, and like I'd give that. There's loads you could do. Stellaris is cool. Anyway. I'm boring myself already. We're talking about the same stuff all the time. Right, let's go in game. Let's play some Corn and stuff. We're also going to do a bit of Soul Beast buildcraft right at the start, because obviously we didn't yesterday, and it was fine. Auto-attacking on Axe was enough with our Arctidus. But we're going to be doing more fighting now, so. Right. We do look pretty cool. I quite like our die. I think it looks alright. God, look how much Twitch drags my frames down. This is so crazy. It's so sluggish. What? Alright, so let's just check our traits. I just want to make sure my trait's okay, because I have no idea really what I've got selected. I'm on Beastmaster, Skirmishing, and Soul Beast right now, which seem like fun lines for a Soul Beast build. Beast Mastery doesn't necessarily have that Condi synergy, though. So maybe we'll swap that. No, I want to keep it. Let's keep Beast Mastery. You got the loud whistle and stuff. Soul Beast move speed increase. Soul Beast ferocity increase. Interesting. That's pet prowess. Loud whistle here. It's basically just a scholar rune, isn't it? You get a scholar rune on top. Okay. And that buffs us in beast mode. That's all attributes. So, well, the attribute that's relevant. So we will get extra Condi damage from that. So that's cool. Shout. I'm not going to be running shouts. Your pet. You and your pet each grant might to the other when critting. That actually seems alright. But if I'm merging, what does that mean? Do I give might to myself when I'm merged? Is that how potent ally works? I don't know. We're running the taunt. We could go QZ on pet swap. Does that proc on Soul Beast entry? Does Zephyr speed proc on that? Let's see, shall we? Let's attack the mower and then press Q. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It is only on pet swap. Merging doesn't count as a swap. But still, I like the quickness. I'll take that. If we're going to go Beast Mastery for the funsies, I'm happy to do that. We'll want some different pets, though. These bears are going to be kind of annoying. So, yeah, I'll just leave that like that. That's fine. I don't really mind. Well, so on skirmishing, I am running Sharpened Edges. We could run Trapper's Expertise and put a card. We're already running one trap. No, I'll stay on Sharpened Edges. Bleeding is more dangerous. That's also fair. There's another quickness applier. When you evade, you gain quickness. I don't understand Ranger very well at all anymore. So many changes to it. Now, when I last played Condi Ranger in like fractals and raids and things, I was on. It was a quick draw rotation, but for open world, light on your feet is probably more fun. So I actually think skirmishing is fine. We just got to actually assign some soul beast traits specifically. So what do we get? Access to stances and the queue. Do I care about any stances? People in PvP have been running one wolf pack lately. That's not really a Condi great idea there though. I'll probably keep strength of the pack. And the Wee Healers one combo. There is a stance that does poison, Vulture, right? And then when they get low, it changes? Yeah, it starts giving me might. Oh, no. Oh, they changed that. Huh. Okay, so it just gives you it all at once. So it's interesting, but I guess worthwhile. Should we go Vulture stance just for funsies? And again, a lot of you are going to be tempted to say, oh, you can only run meta, raid meta. I don't really care too much about that. I just want something fun and a different experience to the Ranger experiences I've had before. You don't need to min-max for open world. Beast mode gives me the boons that are on my pet. So if I go strength of the pack and then beast mode, is that the like 50 stab combo? Yeah, that's like 40 stab, literally, that you give yourself there. That's kind of funny. It's interesting to think there is nowhere in the game that would ever rip through 50 stabs of... Not even like giant world versus world crunches. They'd break the boon with transferal or straight up rip, but actually working your way through 40 stacks of stab. I mean... Unless you're against a pure LE Zerg that's dropped 40 static fields and a choke and you try and walk through all of them. But mind you, isn't there like an ICD on those procs? Sorry that you were watching the YouTube video and you got it late. I guess I don't really care about Signet of Stone in open world too much. Stability stance is nice, quality of life. Alright, we'll try Dolyak stance. That sounds fun. Okay, so anyway, that is what I want to do with it. Well, hold on. Use a beast ability grants me quickness. Entering beast mode breaks stuns and causes us to be unblockable. There's not much blocking in these areas of the world, so... I actually think I'd rather go live fast. I can imagine proccing that far more frequently. Let's go live fast. Condis inflict less damage while we have prot. I remember that one. Gaining quickness increases the duration of other boons. Damn, so I get Sand School when I... Predator's Cunning. When I apply poison, steal some health. That sounds fun, synergistically. Efficacy-wise, I don't know. Deal increased damage to foes at a lower health percentage. Condis I apply at a lower health percentage. Last longer. So 10%. That's cool. Stances. Yeah, we have the stance thing. And then while in beast mode, if I would be downed, that's that. Oh, let's go that. That's not actually that fun, I don't think, trait-wise. There's not really much interesting going on. Don't really care about the spike trap. I'll just go sharpening stones for funsies. I'm not saying it's better, it's just easier. I can look at chat more, guys. We might put on a Sun Spirit or something as well later. The last part, obviously, for Ranger Buildcraft, we can check our pets. So, what is a great Condi pet for a Soul Beast? I know that I like... not this Drake. The Reef Drakes were always fun. Way back when, I used to use these for the cover Condis and the Confusion application and stuff. I wonder since the Confusion overhaul if the Reef Drake's a little bit better again for PvP. I think that used to be beastly. You guys think Lynx? You like Lynx a lot? That's so boring. It's been... Oh, run a cat. Wow, what a shocker. I don't even have a Lynx. You might be like, wow, how can you call it boring WP when you don't have one? But... I'm pretty sure I've used this a lot in PvP where it's all unlocked. I don't even have a Lynx. Iborga. Oh, yeah, no, let's run the new ones. Oh, but I don't have them on this character. Where do we get an Iboga from? Where do we get an Iboga? I'll run an Iboga. We did the no skill challenge with a Jacaranda for ages. Let's run an Iboga, yeah? Juvenile Iboga. Fanged Iboga, sorry. Right. So we find these in the Stampede Uplands of the Desert Highlands. So around here. Interesting area. That's fine. So let's go there. Let's grab one of those at least. And then what about on the what about the off pet? What do you guys think about that? You want me to run the Rainbow Phoenix? I was at a Nike stream yesterday and we were talking. Oh, well, and he was playing Guild Wars 1, so it was really cool. Nike's got like the best music taste of any content creator that's ever existed in the Guild Wars scene, for what it's worth. You may have negative or positive opinions about him from other things, but he definitely has the best music taste. So he's like listening to all this stuff I used to listen to a lot of when I was like 14, 15, which also was when I was super into Guild Wars 1. So it's such a cool stream of his to watch. As he goes around in Eye of the North dungeons with his playlist on it, like put me back in time. It was so cool. But yeah, you're talking about the Rainbow Phoenix just prompted me to remember that. It's really cool how many different people have gone back to Guild Wars 1 lately and have been learning about it and discussing all the different build craft and stuff. Invigorated me even more to do the AFC on it very soon. There's so much dev stuff. There's a lot of information I need to unpack and get out of the live streams to present to you all. And there's the whole GW1 AFC. You'll see a lot of stuff like the AMAs coming out. I just got to find a good way of balancing that with the streams, with the LP, with some other stuff I'm doing. And then I'll be happy. But the LP's like hasn't had an episode now since this patch. And I think it's justifiable because it's been a pretty busy time, but there's a lot of people who think I'm quitting it. I mean, oh ye of little faith. It takes so little time for people to be like, oh, is the LP over? No, it's not over. What are you talking about? Oh, that was awesome. That trait with the Shortbow 2. Predator's Cunning on Shortbow 2. That was so cool. The life still felt awesome there. So let's just use the 2 there, get the confusion up. I don't really know how much, I'm not a very good ranger. I'm not a very good ranger. That's like when someone's playing an engineer and they're just spamming skills on the rifle and constantly keep knocking them back for no reason. Oh dear. Yeah, Pro Ranger. Thank you very much for the sub there, Corey. Jesus Christ. Yeah, what was I saying? Something about Guild Wars 1, I'm sure. Run Rock Gazelle for CC since Soul Beast doesn't have a ton. Oh, and break bars and things. Oh, I love that the game is actually in a position now where that matters for PvE. 10 out of 10. God. I wonder how people who play Guild Wars 2 these days but don't really have many memories of pre-Heart of Thorns and stuff, I wonder how they'd really react realizing just how little build diversity and application of various mechanics there was in this game for years. You know, the initial release of the game. Christ. Yeah, that's a good idea. We could go the Gazelle. I don't have that either. That's a HOT pet too. Not a POF pet. If you have a choice between spamming all skills and only auto attack, and which one would you prefer your teammates to do? Auto attacking. Absolutely, without a doubt. Auto attack. For an MMO, for this game, auto attacking. I've talked about this before, but just the point is, if it's all mindless and it doesn't really matter, is it mindless autoing or is it mindlessly playing the keyboard and spamming stuff? Auto attacking. The actual realistic, rote, fun increase in the difference between the tangible difference between requiring someone to spam up and down versus just spam 1 1 1 1 1. The actual fun factor difference there and flavor difference is minuscule, and the longer you play the game, the even less interesting or divergent it is. So you go auto attacking because auto attacking is simple enough that it's about exactly as fun, but it's more hands-off, allowing people to access the social aspects of the MMO a little bit more, and also understand that even if you have a situation where all you're doing is asking the player to auto attack, there can still be skill cap there in terms of positioning. One of the biggest things I think a lot of MMO players and sort of people sort of forget and don't think is they think skill can only exist in execution of ability pressing, and that's it. But that's just so wrong. Most people don't do any good content. They don't play PvP. They don't play anything that makes them think a bit deeper. But honestly, there can be a vast difference in skill cap purely about how you use WASD, knowing where to stand at the right time, knowing what to look at the right time, and like you can be the actual gameplay can just be autoing the entire time, and you can still tap into all of that. And I think that would actually focus people on the fact that that exists more if it was pure autoing. So yeah, for that thought experiment, if it was all just two flavors of mindless spamming, you should always have the auto attack mindless spam for an MMO. Lets people use their keyboards for other things. And I really don't think there's much of a debate there at all. That's why you shouldn't judge games, the quality of a game's end game or farming in more grindy traditional MMOs where it really is just spamming the same skill over and over. You can't. It's not fair or intelligent at all to just speak purely about and narrow in talking about just the fact that they're autoing. You know, that's such a small part of the full MMO picture. I started learning about this stuff really before Guild Wars 2 came out, when so much of the forum conversation on Guild Wars 2 Guru was all about very specific niggles to do with the combat, and nothing else mattered to anyone. Everything else needed to be refined. Everything else needed to be sped up. Every other mechanic that was remotely anything in the game was pointless unless it was in service of how we press our buttons and the combat. And people just dug way too deep into it, and I think affected the development of the game in some negative ways as well. Sometimes in positive ways, but that's how you end up with like this really diluted experience where it's really just all about, oh, it has good combat, but everything else falls apart. So yeah, I've thought about that topic quite a lot in the past. I am in the right place for a juvenile bugger, right? I am kind of just guessing. People said west of Springer Ranch, and we're kind of... I could try and go up a bit further. High jump gap. I wonder if you, with the right speed, could now get over that on a beetle. How does mount break? Whoa, isn't there kind of an interesting thing about sequence breaks with mounts now? If I'm on an account that's just bought Path of Fire but hasn't got the Raptor, and I log in and unlock this episode of The Living Worlds, and I get PT, how does the game like react? Is there some weird gates and odd bypasses there? That's got to be interesting, right? Oh, wait, west of Springer Ranch. I wasn't even at Springer Ranch yet, was I? No, we've got to keep going. How would that work? Because it is a bit... As far as I remember, there are some weird, like, breaks and things in the achievements, and weird stuff gets locked out. Yeah, exactly. Can you get the beetle without getting the raptor? It's a easier way of saying what I'm wondering. And then can you use that beetle to traverse places? Like, for example, if you don't get the raptor and you just come straight to this ranch, they won't let you pick up the Springer. They won't let you. They won't let you get the jackal. They won't... That stuff's off limits until you get the previous mount. So I wonder if they did something like that for the beetle, for PE. You can get to Amnoon without getting the raptor. And because the Amnoon has the story step opens at Amnoon, doesn't it? Wow, I wonder if that layer was a developer consideration or a happy accident for them. Yeah, for the jackal you need all the prior ones. Do you need all the prior ones or just the raptor? It's all of them, isn't it? So there's Naboga. There's a veteran Naboga. There's some wolves. Wolves, not wolves. Wolves. Yes, I do. I do weekly raids. I do indeed. We spend most of our time in Wing 5. Speaking of which, I saw that ridiculous Epi bounce Doom kill from In the Weeks. That experience of killing Doom is so different to the standard and quality of the gameplay when I killed Doom each week. It's crazy. It's crazy to see the speeds. You've tamed a juvenile Fangdabogger. The Fangdabogger is one of the most aggressive members of its family. It actively seeking out its prey and mercilessly dousing it in acid. Cool. There were fanged ones in Guild Wars 1 as well, I think, but I'm not sure if we see other varieties in Guild Wars 2, do we? Is it only fanged ones? It's just some are juvenile, some are vets, some are champions. So here, I want to stand behind my target, right? Like, the whole point is we do more when we're standing behind. All right, okay, let's equip that bad boy. So, obviously, over the Arctidus. That's cool. Let me actually examine the fellow. What do we want to call it? This is not a Twitch character or a Twitch challenge, so I'm not going to have you guys name this. This is my pet. There we go. He reminds me of the Stygian more. So there you go. Awesome. Look at that bad boy. Okay. Now, what's he got? Fang grapple spits a fanged projectile to pull in its prey. That's the F2. So I get a mob on command at 1200. Oh, this is this one. This is my third top Twitch clip of all time was when we were doing our look at the Soul Beast and all the new pets and things. This is the Longbow 4, the new Longbow 4. I have to admit, I haven't actually seen that many Rangers doing this, so good job, Rangers. So we get that. What else have we got? We got Consuming Bite. This is the thing. This is basically Necromancer Scepter 3, Feast of Corruption. It does more damage per Condi, but that... Necroscepter 3 used to be a power-based thing that did more damage the more condis they had on them, and later the devs realized that that style of hybrid weapon wasn't working, so they retooled it to be pure condi-oriented, and now it just stacks more torment the more condis they have on them. So you can go like Signet of Power and then Feast of Corruption, you get that easy little cheeky combo for lots of condis. Not that people really run that in the Scourge days, but yeah. This is that original Axe version when it was more power-geared on our pet. So, more damage for each condi. See, this kind of shit annoys me, though. Are you guys saying doing a bogger just because of this? Because I can imagine in a raid bench that this is really good, because obviously there's a wide variety of condis, how this thing even applies in MOAB to round out. But in open world and solo play, Consuming Bite isn't going to be that interesting. I don't inflict a wide variety. Not really. Vuln, Bleed, Cripple, Poison, obviously. A bit of a MOAB. Anyway. Crippling Anguish. This is a Guild Wars 1 Mesmer skill that is also a Guild Wars 2 Mesmer trait and also a Guild Wars 2 underwater Mesmer skill, isn't it? It's like, it's appeared constantly. Used to be an elite. Launch a projectile that inflicts condis. Okay, so there's a tiny bit of torment here. Is that pulsing? I guess not. Is that his auto? No, that's not his auto. His auto is the bite. Interesting. And then finally, Narcotic Spores. Spit a glob of confusing spores at a foe, inflicting confusion while at that location. This one is a pulse. High flat damage on there as well. So we do get our confusion there. 1000 range is quite curious. 6 pulses. Alright. But then as a Soul Beast, he is... I can manually use Crippling Anguish. And I can manually use Narcotic Spores. And I get Primal Cry, which is Bleed and Vuln. Alright, I see it as a Condi thing. And then lastly, it is Deadly, so it's Condi damage and precision. Alright, alright. I believe you, chat. This is not just about raiding. This is a good Condi guy. What about the Drake? The Drake is versatile. Not necessarily bad in open world, by the way, just because they're versatile. Probably not that interesting. Does anyone have a really, really desperate thing they want to see me run on the other pet? Do you want to see me get rid of Confusoid? What do you mean there isn't any other build craft besides raids? Fire Wyvern, Devourer, Pork. One of the best. I would like to run a pig to do plasma, and then when I get the plasma, I send it back to them with We Healers 1, and then when I consume with him, I get it back again with fresh reinforcement. That would be kind of hilarious, wouldn't it? I wonder how much that would bump things up. Sorry guys, I know I'm being quiet. I'm just reading chat. Eagle or pig? The bite was broken for a very short while because they actually fixed it, causing Druid DPS to go mental just because of the Aboga. That's not the case anymore. Okay, they've improved that then. I mean, I have to say, I will just make one note. I love this kind of mechanic. I think this is incredible. Consuming bite. What I want to see more of, there's a lot of traits that are like this for some of the classes. Do more damage, the more range of combis, or the more range of boons. And we're seeing Weavers are doing a bit of that now as well as they start speccing Arcane. But I really like that mechanic. I believe that the base of effectiveness of that could be lower, but scale harder. And you can have, like, much cooler team synergies where a comp really decides to go for one thing, like as much Condi variety as possible, so that they can run, you know, all these other pieces that slot into that, or the boon version of it, or whatever else, you know, vice versa. I like that kind of stuff. Guild Wars 2's never had enough of it. Yeah. He can't not pick Pig, having just given us this insight. The thing is, Forage doesn't always give you Plasma, and the thing... what's going to happen in the story here is I'm mostly going to be talking about the story and to chat, and I don't really want to think about the gameplay much, so... Merge Bristleback's a lot of fun. Even on a Condi build, is it a lot of fun? I don't even know if I have a Bristleback. No, I didn't get the HOT pets on this character. I don't even have all the core ones on this character. What do you think about the personality of Asura player characters and player character Char? Because they do not act as they should. Well, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's a massive game, so... With a ton of different personalities and ideas, so they have to write it generically. Yeah, well, alright, I'm just going to go Electric Wyvern for some CC. And what type of pet is the Wyvern? Versatile... I get Prelude Lash. I can wing buff it. Can I actually wing buff it myself? Oh, dude. Soul Beast is cool. In so many ways, I could imagine being a main ranger. I know how much I hate playing against them, but... Oh, it's all very, very tight range, though. I'll have to be careful of that. Very tight range. I'm hallucinating. Okay, let's just do that. Okay. We're going to do 4 arms is 4 wand. At last. Oh, we're already on the right map as well. Of course we are. Let's Beetle over there, because I'm curious how cool the Beetle is starting from the high grounds like this, going back. I don't know. Is there a good route, though? Well, we'll see. Let's go. Is this game worth playing without the latest expansion or nah? I think it would be worth playing without the latest expansion. You get a ton of fractal content for endgame. You get a good amount of raid content for endgame. You get a massive amount of stuff. I think so, definitely. And there's no risk. You can try a free-to-play account. Literally, just get a free-to-play account. You'll get a vast amount of high-quality content that will see you right if you dive into your video games for hundreds of hours, and then you can upgrade and go from there if you want. You can choose exact... Oh, I'm gonna die here, aren't I? Oh my god, it's still alive? Wow. That was weird how we managed to ramp up that wall as well. I saw a very interesting GIF on Reddit. Please don't die, P. Where people were showing off... That last tick of damage was some BS. With the right guild hall decorations in the right positions, you can really do some almost vertical climbs on the beetle. It's very strange. I was watching you play through Nightfall last night, and at one point you said Abogas as ranger pets would be a really strange thing, and you wanted Canthan crabs instead. Thoughts? Yeah, I do still think it's kind of strange. I don't know whether I talked about that in the Soul Beast release as well. To be honest, which... are you talking about my really old series, or are you talking about the one from 2 years ago? On the really old one, I'm not surprised I said that. Because the kind of creatures you had as pets in Guild Wars 1 were nowhere near the, like, in terms of flavor and theme, they were nowhere near the power level that you get in Guild Wars 2. You know, just to hammer that in for a second, getting a Drake as a pet in Guild Wars 1 was like a crazy, exciting idea that was like, wow, a fucking Drake? Jesus, you know, like, about as cool as it got was a bear. The other pets you had were like, you know, they were simple creatures, and you know that word pet? Like, you'd imagine a real life pet. You wouldn't have like That was kind of, you know, it's the tonal shift of Guild Wars. That's what it is. Things were much more refined back then, and they were much more like simple. And yeah, there were some more fantastical things, but they were like quite special. You know, like having a phoenix was an exotic pet. That's what they were actually classified as, and they were not like priority things that players would interface with. The Black Widow spider, you know, like it was special to have that. Then Guild Wars 2 comes out, and the roster just like exploded, and we were all thrilled about it, obviously. Like mowers I don't even think were pets, were they? But you know, now it's not just bears and stuff, but we had drakes. And I remember the Warring Crater, they gave some of the White Mantle Drake pets, and that was really exciting. And sharks. Sharks was another one. You could see those fish and sharks swimming around in Guild Wars 1 in the waters, and having a shark as a pet, you know, it was an exciting time to be a fan. If you liked that kind of power creep, if you will, thematic power creep is what I mean. I'm not talking about mechanics, obviously, in any way. And it's gone further beyond that. You know, wyverns in Hearthorns, freaking fire-breathing dragons and stuff you can get as pets. They just constantly seek to try and do the next cool thing, And over enough years, it's meant that they've disregarded maintaining a kind of tonal balance with the franchise. So yeah, my old Nightfall playthrough, it would have been really weird to see that Eboggers in the original game were just enemies, but you know, they were big, threatening, weird, creepy fantasy plant things, and it was not in the ballpark of Guild Wars 1 to imagine them being pets, and it would have felt weird. Guild Wars 2 though, by the time Path of Fire was coming out, I mean, yeah, I could see myself easily being immersed in that world now. And I'm not necessarily saying one approach is better than the other, by the way. I'm just saying that there has been a big shift that you won't notice unless you look back at weird moments like that. Anyway, here we go. Forearmed is forewarned. Are you guys ready? I hope you are. Let's do it. What's that rubble on background? Huh? Oh, yeah, obviously. Moas were pets. The black moa, obviously. But again, exotic. That was an exotic pet. All right, sorry. Shh.
Okay, well, I and your arm will start scouting the area.
You know, it's got all my cloaking tech. That'll help you deal with enemies without being spotted.
Don't you love happy little accidents? I'll tell all our allies to meet here, so they can go through as soon as the portal's up and running. Happy scouting, Commander.
Right, yeah, so we already talked about the just insanity of being able to do this with the portal. We get Blish's arm, and we find it straight away.
If you want to use my cloaking tech, press the button on the arm. There's even a setting that makes you look like a tree. Helpful for blocking someone's line of sight.
Oh, by the way, the Sunspears agree that releasing the plague is an act of war. They're rallying the Alonians. Guess we're really doing this. I'm equal parts exhilarated and terrified. Maybe a little peckish.
All right. Somebody said something about the Natuka bird. Yeah, that sounds cool. Especially for Guild Wars 2. Having that as a pet, I'd like that. So wait, I didn't like the idea of an Abogger, but I did like the idea of the Natuka bird. Yeah, fine. I mean, I don't think that's some major error. I don't know. That just would have been how I felt on the day. I don't know how I feel today because I've lost that impartiality, you know, because we have an Abogger and now it feels natural. Maybe the idea of the Aboggers and stuff was a bit weird to me because the suggestions that they came specifically from the Hedge Wizards and that there might be a little bit more going on there with the whole sentient plant thing. And some of the early stuff we'd heard about that in Guild Wars 1 in the Maguma Jungle with the Thorn Stalkers and stuff. Maybe. I don't know. Right, so, mechanics. There's a lot of mechanics here. We are in a stealth mission, basically. So, we get a bar above our heads. And I love the way it tilts and tries to keep at the camera. Basically, this is an overheat meter. And I really like the way that they've done this. I wonder whether they'd ever go as far as having an elite specialization utilize user interface a little bit like this. They certainly didn't, obviously, with stuff like the Holosmith. But, alright, so we get the special action. And this skill is so complicated and so beautiful because it's a mix of so many different things. This is a special action that will contextually change based on different areas that you stand, and it's great. So here we go. Cloaking is inactive, And if we press this, it says to engage cloaking tech to use Blish's arms skills. We increase our speed by 50% and we become difficult, not impossible, difficult to detect. Nearby enemies may perceive you. Chance of detection increases with suspicion level. You cannot ride your mount while the cloaking is active. So, you know, the interactions are kind of huge. So when we go this, it doesn't turn it off the UI.
Be careful not to overheat the arm, Commander. If you do, you'll have to wait for the coolant to kick in. And that'll be kind of loud. Might attract attention.
Got an awakened problem here.
Ooh, you can zap it with the Tribal Electrocutor.
Shh, Gorak, Commander's trying to be stealthy.
I recommend unbolting it, then zapping it.
So look at this. Look at this. I'm not pressing any buttons. Look at how they use the tip system to show. I mean, this is beautiful. This is what I like to see. They're repurposing the old hints and tips UI, which the game gives you right when you make an account all that time ago. And they're repurposing it to tutorialize things late game. That's great. You get the big arrows and stuff. This is like what the game does when it first teaches you how to move around interior. And some intelligent bastard over at ArenaNet was like, wow, this is cool. Why do we never repurpose it? And it's so smart. I like it all. One of the things that Guild Wars was always credited on was its polish for like its UX and stuff. And here they're recapturing a bit of that magic. I think it's so good. They're really getting their shit together. So we just learned 3 skills. First of all, we can leave with this. So I'll just show you how that looks. There's a 2-second cooldown on dipping in and out. We obviously lose our pet as a ranger as well when we go inside, and we get the visual difference. We get this. It says cloaking tech active. Our movement speed's increased. Mounting is disabled. A nice brief way of describing what mousing over the main thing did. We get this. Now, this is in the heal slot, but it's not actually a heal, if I remember. Rapidly decreases his heat load and prevents movement and the use of other skills when active. The process is noisy and may attract attention. Our skills are briefly unavailable after the process completes as well. So, I mean, it's very wordy, everything they're trying to give us here. But, so, then it lastly says, remember you will be visible and unable to move while this process is running. I don't know whether that last line's, I mean, who's forgotten in the 2 seconds since they read the first paragraph. But here, I'll show you what this looks like. And it's worth, when you do this instance, practicing this first. So you get a sense of just how it all feels. I said the same about episode 1. It was episode... No, episode 2. We have a stealth mission in episode 2, remember? And I got caught out because I didn't know how one of the mechanics worked. Well, here's this. The other thing I would say is it is curious to me and unfortunate that they didn't... They basically built a whole new thing here to learn and understand for this instance after episode 2 had its own variation of stealth content. And I get it, it's different teams making this stuff, but you would have hoped that they borrowed techniques from one another and gameplay loop and patterns and things so that the player base kind of has this smooth... Like, I don't want one version of stealth gameplay in Corteria that's really shit, like when you're sneaking Demi out. I don't then want another one in Season 2 where you're playing as Kaith, and then a third interpretation when we're in Caesar... What was another one? Like, over and over and over again throughout Guild Wars, they're like, let's do a stealth mission. And they throw out the book, and they just do another complete... It feels like such a waste of time, and like... Not just a waste of time to develop, but also annoying for me as a player, because I can tell you one thing, forearmed is forewarned. If I were to just randomly log into Guild Wars 3 months after having been AFK from it, I would not want to play this instance. Because it's kind of like in Season 1 where they kept adding activities over and over and over again. And it's like, oh, I've got to learn a whole new side of the game. And, you know, I'm too lazy for that. I don't want to have to learn. I don't want to have to think about a whole new load of stuff. I want to just be comfortable and seated in it, you know, and I kind of don't like that. But throwing out the book over and over again doesn't mean you get some really cool experiences. It's just got to relearn a new set of rules each time. So anyway, right, and you might have thought, can you stop talking, WP? But I wanted my cooldown of this to go away, so I was fine with it. And that takes 2 minutes to cool down. Right, we've also got stun bolts. Again, you should practice these. So this is 1200 range. Stun your target with a non-lethal compression bolt. The launcher holds 3 bolts and can be reloaded when empty. So this is using the ammo system, except ammo doesn't slowly recharge, and once you throw the 3 bolts out, it says reload, but it generates heat. So as I reload, You look at my bar, I get a bit of heat up there. You see that? And it climbs a bit, and now the heat is starting to go down again because I'm not doing anything else. So this is not a mechanic I actually utilized once while playing this at all. I never fired a single stun bolt, and I'll show you why. The skill 2 is called Tribal Electrocution. It also generates heat. Big wind up and charge. It's unblockable. I can't move while doing it. It roots me in place, and I know that's supposed to be the devil for Guild Wars these days, but it's quite cool. And it says instantly electrocute a target. Heat is generated only on successful attacks. Note, it will only succeed if the target is in range and unaware of your presence. A successful attack will cause nearby enemies to detect you. Okay, so basically this is your assassination. And the point is you eliminate the enemies. You have low heat. You come out here behind him, and you're supposed to assassinate him. Now, the way the mechanic's supposed to work is you're supposed to walk up to him, press the 2, because you're rooted...
We sent you to the right spot.
Lot of awakened. Got a small squad coming my way.
This should be a good test of the cloaking tech.
Okay, my bad. Because they're moving, you're supposed to miss. So you're supposed to fire the stun bolt to stop them moving, and then you can zap them. But if you walk correctly, you can do it anyway, and I'll show you. Anyway, you just saw I had another active effect on me there, and that's when you're standing in the area of like a suspicious area. Because I just killed that guy and I was standing there, they ran over to see the body. So that it's kind of an interesting thing with the AI. They're not using the sight cones or anything, though. Again, like we saw in Kaith and the previous episodes. But so we got to take these guys out. And it's interesting, the 50% move speed. So here, if oh, there you go, there's a sight cone. I tell a lie. He knows someone's nearby. I think he knows that because I killed someone near here. And he's looking around. These guys have an effect as well. They have an eyeball. Suspicious, paying close attention to their surroundings. So I guess they go from suspicious to full-on sight cone. Well, my problem now is when I assassinate... Oh, God. Yeah, I got seen. Huh. I forget how you're supposed to do this. Anyway, what we can do is we can fire a stun bolt at one, a stun bolt at the other, and then we can execute them, yeah? Because the stun lasts for ages, yeah? So that's really what the devs want you to do. I never used that once, though, before.
From the buildings up there. Good cover, decent sight lines. Close to the portal. Tiny, I think this is a good place for our main camp. Let me take a look around.
I'll take notes.
Yeah, I know you're supposed to do it from behind. I did do it from behind, didn't I? And they saw me instantly. I thought I assassinated the guy from behind. Maybe it was slightly off and they were just looking at me. Yeah, you can just spam the stun, basically, I guess. Like I said, I never really used this. So here I'm going to fire it. That was kind of a waste, but I did that because I wanted to reload early. I guess it was a complete waste. So anyway, he's facing us. We don't...
Got an outpost here. Checking it out.
Don't forget to tiptoe.
Remember, you can camouflage yourself as a tree. Just make sure you stand still while you're doing it. Trees don't move.
Man, this is not going how I remembered it at all. What? Why did he see me there? I wasn't particularly in front of him. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't have any heat. I know that it's not immaculate stealth, but that's crazy. Anyway, yeah, so we can turn into a tree. We get another skill now. And another skill. Let's contact Timey.
Commander Farron's here with a bunch of, Amnunians? Says he's trained him into a unit. Wants in on the fight. No.
Tell him to sit tight.
Got it.
Trees do move, though. I guess trees do move. They don't walk around, I think is the point, though. So contacting Timey, I can't remember how many times we even do that. It's amazing how much I've forgotten about this already. But yeah, we can press this, and it says heat generated 1 maintains. That word maintains is not a particularly commonly used term to describe mechanics in the game. But basically what it's saying is it's like a Revenant upkeep, all right? Which, obviously, people who've never played Revenant wouldn't know, and you have to understand. But yeah, so it's going to keep a bit of heat there. We won't lose heat while we're a tree, is what they're trying to say. It costs heat to become one, and we won't lose it while we're a tree. All enemies, even those who are alert or suspicious, will pay no attention to a motionless tree. Health will not regenerate, and gliding is unavailable while camouflaged. Look at how wordy they are. I mean, I respect how much they have to think about with each thing. So look, gliding's disabled in that, but gliding isn't disabled in this, but mounts are disabled in both. Can you imagine 3 more expansions down the line? How bloated some of this will get? It's going to be great, guys. Mastery system. Right, so I'm just going to... I mean, they turn around. So there we go. We zap him. We want to let the heat go down before we do anything wild. And we just got to clear the whole stronghold out now. Which does take some time. So I'm going to have to learn how to get a bit more efficient with this. Hold on. He can see me. I've been spotted. But there was no cone or anything. Now you're suspicious of any tree you see in the open world, is it, Blish? One of my favorite experiences, and I've had it several times, that World vs. World has ever given me, and I truly mean this, is people, either myself or other people, using the tree furniture tonic and pretending to be trees. And everyone knows, obviously, that it's not working, but people playing along and stuff. I like those little social interactions. I think that's the spice of that game type.
Commander, Captain Sly's Corsairs are on their way. If Joko tries to launch any plague ships, Saeed is gonna sink them.
This line's interesting. Captain Sly's Corsairs are on their way. Because the Corsairs feel like they do so little in this patch in the end. Alright, let's stun this guy because he saw us. And let's kill him. It's kind of a bit of a shit stealth encounter if you can be really blasé but just fire darts to get you out of jail for free every time. That's not how I did it before. The other thing, though, is I did this co-op before, so... Ow, come on. Yeah, so now we can capture these. So the special action has now changed. It's the same special action, but it changes when you're near a dust mite. So right now, if I press special action, I deactivate my cloak. But if I press it near the dust mite, it's another thing again. That's a bit clustered over there. I'm going to go to another area, which is to capture mites, and the mites let you throw them at people, which is strange to me because I have to admit, I did it once, and it really... Oh, I think there was an achievement to do it, and it really didn't seem any good. But I'll show you guys what that looks like. Let's stun this guy as well. But yeah, like I just ran around actually like in the face. So here, look, we're right now it's 0 ammo. Should like grey out probably. And now I can change and I press it again. And it's a long charge up. We kill the dust mite. I get 1 ammo. And then I can throw it, say... I mean, I guess the idea is to throw these in AoE scenarios. Where there's lots of guys. So we throw that down there. And then they go and fight that. Oh, I need to reload. Rip. And while they do it, I come in and stun them all. There's another dust mite. There you go. Oh, he's still alive. How are you still alive? Get away. I've never not one-shot them. I wonder what that question mark was there as well. So now I'm really hot and I need to leave because we overheated. We did too much. Look at the little fire effect you get on it. Look at that. Look at the quality, guys. Honestly. There's so much, like, work that goes in. And so, you know, when you look at open world corner and stuff and people complain about Gandara and stuff, it's not that there's not crazy amounts of effort and good stuff in this patch. It's just it's all in these instances that that represent about 20 minutes of your time and then that's it. The stuff that keeps people playing the game on the long scale is like a lot weaker. But that doesn't mean that the patch wasn't really good. Take this guy out. I've been live for over an hour now. What is with this bot?
Quickly with that teleporter I built into my arm.
Blish, candid feedback. If you have a teleporter in your arm, that information should come out earlier.
All right, there you go. What this bot, Stay Hydrated bot, is that across all of Twitch? It's such a cool bot. You've been live for over an hour. By this point in my broadcast, I should have consumed at least 4 ounces, 120 milliliters of water to maintain optimum hydration. Well, you just reminded me to drink some of this coffee. Let me ask as well, that's not just because I'm talking constantly, is it? Does it account for the fact that I'm talking constantly and drying my my mouth out? Does that mean I need more water? What about everybody watching? Surely, what my point is, surely the bot should be, hey everyone, you've been at the stream. Oh, I guess the point is maybe you only just joined the stream. Okay, never mind. Anyway. So we got about 66% of them done. You don't think Hydrobot is that smart? What? How dare you? Okay, right, yeah, so we did get our new ability. This is the most overpowered dev hacky thing that's ever existed in Guild Wars 2. And I'm okay with it because it's in the story instance, and the instance is big enough for you to let you have fun with it. But, I mean, I say that with absolute sincerity. I say that with someone who someone who complains constantly that the game gives you too much freedom of movement and that they've just deteriorated the sense of exploration and blah, blah, blah. There's me saying that I say that stuff is too dev hacky all the time. This is the most dev hacky, ridiculous thing that has ever... I mean, it is like we are in, you know, like the development environment, and we're just skipping around the map to make sure that there's no floating trees or bushes that we've accidentally put in, you know. It's crazy. There is no cooldown on it. The fact it generates a tiny bit of heat is the only, like, resource mechanic that's on it at all. It is a 3,000 range, instant activation, 0 cooldown, stun breaking teleport. I mean, it is... Oh! What annoys me is when I played this before, I knew that that was a risk and I was really careful about it. But by the end of the instance, I was like, oh no, it's big enough. It's cool. It's a cool instance. It's fine. It's big enough. That won't happen. The devs have been really smart about it. And to the extent that I didn't even think about it on the stream. Oh, they didn't even give us a checkpoint? Really? No checkpoint? Oh no, they have given us a checkpoint at some point. For some reason I have to reload there as well. I got the camo. So I got to kill them all again. At least they gave us a good checkpoint.
Got an outpost here. Checking it out.
Don't forget to tiptoe.
Remember, you can camouflage yourself as a tree. Just make sure you stand still while you're doing it. Tree don't move.
Alright, there we go. That's 3 in a row. That's pretty good. Let's reload as well now. That hopefully won't make me overheat. We're back to the tree moment. But yeah, I mean, it's as funny as that was. It is super, super dev hacky, and we get to play with it a lot. And it's kind of fun, though. I mean, I'm not going to be a miser about that skill. It does feel a little bit off to me. And I don't like how blatantly they... as someone who's modded games and had fun getting mods for games, there's always a thing where you can give the player a little bit too much power, and it just, like, it pulls back the curtain a little bit too much. And, like, I don't know, just, like... I feel like that skill is a little bit close to it, but I'm being really, really, really picky. I don't know, I am. I'm sure everybody had fun zapping around. Mozzie me saying, love the teleport, wish we had it skill. You don't really, do you? You know how, like, insane and broken that would be. You are joking, right? You don't actually want that as a skill. You realize that it would just destroy the game if that was a skill. Yeah, and I mean, the truth about that skill is they're doing it because it's fun, but also because of the way that this is structured. It's a huge instance, and there's going to be a lot of movement, and we don't have the beetle yet. I mean, we theoretically would have other mounts, but so they're doing it as... I mean, it's really weird to couch this mechanic and this aspect of this... this release in the expansion that gave us mounts as well, you know, which is all about movement across broader areas. Oh, the mummy's gonna hurt me here. But on mount, you know, the mounts are like the opposite. They're like really flavorful, really immersive, really weighty, really awesome ways of traveling fast. And this is just like the devil. This is the you know, the complete opposite. The quantum mass displacement skill. But hey. Right, where heat is doing fine. I'm gonna throw a thing at them because why not? Not sure how useful that really has been as a mechanic. Yeah, like, look there. There, I had him stunned, but the dust mite CCs him, thus removing the stun, because hard stuns override one another.
Commander Farron's here with a bunch of, Amnunians? Says he's trained him into a unit. Wants in on the fight. No.
Tell him to sit tight.
Got it.
WP, did you notice the name of the last type of field turret tech? No, that's that FTT thing, right? Someone mentioned that on yesterday's stream. I have to be honest, I don't really know what people are talking about. I don't know what the mechanic with the turrets is. All I know is as I kill things. So here, look, we can kill him while he's moving. We just since for some reason those two bolts missed. All I know is that, and what's the achievement I've got? Disorient awakened with a quantum mass displacement matrix. Oh, is that a thing? So what, if I just go backwards and forwards a lot? Enemies will detect movement. I'll just have him see me. That way. That way again. That way again. Is this gonna work? I don't know. Yeah, all I know is I get an achievement for killing stuff. Oh, I've got to go closer to them, do I? That makes me curious if you dislike the Mesmer portal skills. No, Mesmer portal is completely different to this mechanic. Mesmer portal is a utility skill that you unlock with a currency that you spend. Well, actually, it doesn't have any cast time on, to be honest. But it's a thing on the ground that expires and has a maximum number of people that can go through it, and has a pretty animation and a sound effect, and it's flavorful and fitting to the class, and Portal's awesome, but I mean that's all just flavor-wise. And on the other side of things, it's also meant a lot for PvP experiences and gameplay. So no, Portal's brilliant, and World vs. World. But Portal bombing, what would World vs. World be without that? Honestly, it's a thrilling part of the game. And other teleport and blink skills are largely in the same position. They have animations, they have sound effects, they have art for them. And I know that this has a skill icon, but that's about it. What I'm saying is, and this is an obscene range and just no aftercast even, nothing, no animation, zero anything. It's literally like, all I'm saying, that the original quote is that this is the most dev hacky thing that's ever been in the game. I'm not saying it's terrible for them for the game. I'm not saying I hate everything to do with teleportation. I'm saying that the way it's in, this is dev hacky as all hell. This literally feels like I'm in the development environment, just zapping the camera around. So what do? I detect... Well, I don't want to stun him. There you go, he's seen me. Look at this. Oh, there you go. It worked. Oh, nice. Oh, I've got to do that with tons of them. Oh, and it's a stun. Just like if I bolted him. I see. Why am I not allowed to use the skill too? 4 teleports close to them. Yeah, and technically speaking, they are shadow steps, not teleports. But this one is actually a teleport too. That's more of a Guild Wars 1 discussion. But what it means is I can... Oh no, how do you know that this is a teleport, not a shadow step? That was not... A teleport technically will take you anywhere, even if it's not on like the nav mesh AI path grid or whatever. Such as in Guild Wars 1, Necrotic Traversal would let you teleport to anybody, and that would put you out of maps, while Assassin shadow stepping wouldn't, for example. And then later they changed it. That was more of a well-defined thing. I don't think the devs really want us thinking about that aspect of the game though right now. You can sometimes teleport onto routes on this, but clearly some things it doesn't. So I think under the hood it might still be a shadow step, just because it does have those limitations that they put on there. Anyway, we've almost got all of these, so that will take a while then. I guess there's a lot more mobs we can fight. What have we got over here? Let's disorient this guy. Does it matter if he sees me, or... Yeah, I don't want to build up too much heat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there it is. And then, but then I can't use the 2 because...
Gone.
And he's not even still stunned. Oh my god. We have to stun him with the auto. Jesus. This feels so dumb as well, the cooling, because the heat goes down so fast on its own, and this roots you super hard and is on a 2-minute cooldown, and I don't know. No, it's not that it requires line of sight, but a valid path. They're two different errors. You've seen on this stream, I've had no line of sight and it's prevented me, and I've had will not teleport. They're two different errors for the skill. It doesn't count as movement, the suspicion thing. Oh, so can you be a teleporting tree and it's fine? That sounds like an oversight. Yeah, I know I can't use the 2 because I have too much heat. Just doesn't seem like a very good tactic. I do want the achievement, but maybe we won't go for it on this stream. We're missing one dude. I don't know where they are. I'm kind of exploring a bit slowly though, because for all the discussion we're doing on it, I should use it more. Can't teleport up there or there. Don't teleport along that. That will break things. Let's contact Timmy.
Commander, Captain Fly's Corsairs are on their way. If Joko tries to launch any plague ships, Saeed is gonna sink them.
Over here! Intruder!
1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have to wait. What? And see, that doesn't even last the full minute. Damn it. Come on. What? I surely have enough heat. It's still not doing it. Does he have to be stunned before I can trigger it? I guess you just can't trigger it unless they're stunned or they don't see you. It's not actually the heat.
We can set up our base.
Roger. Oh, and Blish says the portal's almost back online.
Good. Keep me posted. Can't wage a war on my own.
All right, so... oh, I can do it on an AoE group. That makes sense. That's very cool. If I can do it on an AoE group, I'm really happy with that. That's fine. Okay, so now we survey the battlefield, right? And it opens up enormously. Look at this. Look at this. It's so cool. So, we travel pretty goddamn far. And there's some suspicious awakened over there, I guess, who we might want to go look at. Or should I just... Yeah, I think we've got to go to all of them. They're not using green starburst here, which is kind of interesting, I think. Want a tip for the AP? Try to find a squad of awakened, like 5 of them, and quickly teleport. I already read that. You didn't have to all caps that. I already read that and mentioned it out loud. But yeah, that's a cool idea. Oh! Why are the suspicious guys no longer appearing on my minimap? Hello? Well, there they are. So, let's do it here. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. We only got one of them. Alright, and I've overheated. I need to leave now. Touch overheat. So can I just become a tree in front of them and stand still and it's fine? Until they wander off. It would just take ages. So, does that count as surveying? No, there totally is a green starburst. We're going to go to the green starburst. We're going to dev hack our way over there. Let's go. Like, look at this. It's so bonkers. That's a group of 4. Should we do it to the group of 4? No, I've still got too much heat. I want to start it on empty heat if I do it. You can treat as long as you weren't in their initial line of sight. Right now, the dust mites are better at catching me than anything else. The dust mites detect the magic. They're not waiting around for anyone. Cannot TP. No line of sight. Eastern front discovered. That we're not supposed to be standing so close to. This is an interesting thing mechanically they did in this instance as well, which we'll get to in a sec.
Joko's fortress. Won't be easy getting in there.
He did invite you. Maybe just knock on the front door.
Or kick it in.
All right.
Whole area's crawling with awakened. We could use a way to stop enemy troops from moving into the main camp area.
Where that tree?
Oh, that reminds me. Canuck thought of that. He's on his way with bramble seeds that'll grow into walls super quick. Portal's ready for single transport. Sending Canuck through. Meet him at the main camp.
Why is that monkey hanging out near that tree? Because he's a monkey. He actually would live in a tree like that. That's so cool. You can apparently stun them and still disorient them while they're stunned. That doesn't... Intuitively, I would think that works, but that's cool. Thank you for telling me that. That makes a lot of sense. That's cool. Yeah, so look at this that they did. They, and we'll see more of this as the patch goes along and the streams go along showing this off. We get the troop marshal here and what is supposed to be like an army. So the devs have always struggled with something with Guild Wars. And not just this game, lots of video game devs come up against this at some point. They're telling a story about wars and, you know, armies and massive numbers of troops that you're supposed to be threatened by. But there are engine limitations as to how many they can load in and without, you know, needing ridiculous optimization. So how do you spoof it? How do you fake it? You know, and it happens constantly. Like, think about almost any game ever that's had like an arena or tournament or like sport aspect to it, and so you get to participate in like arena combat somewhere. They'll always have a crowd that's supposed to be cheering and roaring in the stadium, but they have to like spoof the crowd. You know, they won't have real NPCs out there. They'll expect that you're just looking at them from a distance, and they will do like billboards, or they'll do very simple little sprites that move in and they'll just stay flat and they'll be staring at you at all times. So this is a Guild Wars 2 version of them doing it, which is really weird because I can walk right over to them and I get what they're trying to do, but you see they have no collision and there's culling with it, and I die from going near it, which is fine. I kind of like that. I should die from being here. They don't want you looking close, peeking behind the curtain. But at the end of the day, I think it's a pretty bad job. That's the problem with Guild Wars, though. You get so much freedom of movement. You can so easily, like, just unimmersively walk into stuff like that. Did that really offer anything in the end? I don't know, man. It doesn't, even with what they faked. They didn't even fake that many soldiers. I get that the idea is you're supposed to be perched on the cliff quite far away and they look like they're in the distance, but that doesn't work after they've just allowed us to dev hack 20 miles in 2 seconds. And now it looks like you could spit on them from where you're standing. And they've emboldened you and empowered you with a stealth mechanic. It just is like, it's a perfect storm that just works against it. So I don't know whether I was really that convinced by that, but hey, Kanak. Oh, time me again, wait.
Commander, Zaim says the sun spears are ready.
Is that what she says? All right, fine.
Nice spot. Of course, those siege engines will have to go. Guard posts, too.
Of course.
I don't mind sharing my toys. Here, try these beauties. Set one down, and it'll arm itself in no time flat.
Right. So, we get the bombs?
These seeds will grow into bramble walls almost instantly. Where do you want them?
From my sweep of the area, our position will be most vulnerable from the south and the east.
I'll plant along the eastern front. You take the south.
So there's an achievement now. I think I already got it. Oh, no, I didn't. Plant all the seeds before, at all the locations before Kanak has a chance to help. So should I just follow Kanak then and just sneakily do it before him? But basically, he's going to grow that giant wall you see out in the open world version of Corner. It's a huge wall, and it's like a so they very, very, like, gamily broke the whole how do we even get to Joko so fast. Oh, he bombed the dust mite. That's kind of funny. By doing the Blish arm thing. And this is kind of another one. They like power creep the hell out of Kanak. Like, Kanak alone does like this ridiculous fortification. They don't really give any clarity or understanding about how he can create such an immense wall. I mean, I get on paper that what they're trying to do here probably wouldn't have looked as incredible as it actually did in the end, but it's quite an accomplishment Kanak is about to do. I'm just going to follow him and see what happens. It's really cool, by the way. If you look at him on the minimap, he has a commander tag, a blue tag, and I think that's kind of badass, honestly. So you can see him charging around. I don't know how easy or hard the achievement is, so I'm just going to follow him and just try and press F on whatever I have to do right before he can.
Commander Ritlock met up with Rox and the Omicron. Should be here soon.
So, Timey just constantly talking about all the forces, all the allies we've got. I mean, the devs had a real challenge. This episode, I don't envy this team. I think structurally, this team has had the hardest job of all of them in terms of getting the plot to where it needs to be. They, like I said on yesterday's stream, they were asked to tell the entire Zaitan arc, really, in one Living World release. So this is before he has a chance to help. Here he's helping, isn't he? By blowing that up. So maybe I'll fail the achievement. Oh, he's moving. He's moving already. Kanak. Oh, he's doing it now. No, 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 no. What do you mean there? We got 2 siege engines. Can he AFK this? Why do I keep finding myself wondering that on this patch? Can the devs, can the characters AFK? Can this guy AFK? Like, why didn't they put Botica in this episode to lead the Omicron? I don't know. Oh, there it is. There it is. Screw you, Kanak. Oh, no, no, no. He got the animation before me. No! All right, well, I failed. All right, well, I will stop following him then. Damn. I'll have to do this patch again later. Can't teleport up there. Yeah, instant fail that was. I should have TP'd over just straight away. Oh, the checkpoint is meeting Kanak, is it really? So I could load out and back in and go for the achieve again? That's kind of cool. That would let you figure out really quickly where all of the places are and you could just redo it. Oh, this is it. This has got to be it, right? Let's get them all to see me. I want them all to see me. Hello, everyone. How do I... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm overheating. Oh my god! It didn't work. Whoever's advice that was, it didn't work. It's fine. I have an instant cooldown, 3000 range teleport. Kanak is faster. Yeah, it's pretty bad, eh? Too slow and too far away. But I mean, they're quite spread out, so you gotta. I feel like if I was too close with the teleports, they would just. I'd only get like one. How do you get all of a Zerg at once when they're spread out quite a lot? Do you get what I mean? Stealth up here. Interestingly, again, very little regular combat. I talked about this on maybe episode 1, how Guild Wars is just like obsessed with creating new games instead of just letting the builds and the combat as it already exists be the gameplay. Do you get what I mean? Like, they have to, they're changing the gameplay. Nearly every Living World release we get, if say there's 4 instances, maybe in one of those instances they'll be happy for you to participate in normal combat, fighting normal mobs. In all the others, they'll just create a whole new experience for you to participate in. And can you imagine how much development and effort it is to basically reinvent the wheel and do a special thing like this every single release? And the reason why, I'm not even scared to say, I say there's no irony, the reason why they do that is because there is such a massive difference in the skill and build capabilities of their average players. What's hard to one player is a complete DOS to another, because one guy's a very experienced minion mancer who's playing the easiest build in the world, and the other one's like a totally new player who's been like the community to play a glass staff Weaver and solo, and then the Weaver has a terrible experience. So the devs, because there's such a crazy divergence, they just do this instead. They're like, oh, don't worry about playing the actual game. Look, we'll give you a stealth mission instead. Like, they're scared to just let Guild Wars combat and Guild Wars Buildcraft be what it is. And the reason for all of that, the reason why there's that massive difference, the reason why one player can literally AFK the game because they're a ranger and someone else has a real struggle, is because there's no like baseline, because the entire game is all the formative experiences everyone has. It teaches you, it tutorializes nothing, it teaches you nothing. So you get these wild differences between player skill and understanding, so that you have to do this instead. I say that with no irony, no joke, it's about Corteria. It's about the formative experience. I sound low. Sorry. Yeah, I moved away from the microphone. So, wow, I didn't. The microphone swung away from me and I didn't realize. Hello, I'm back. Sorry, I'm back. The game will be a little bit loud in combat because combat noises are really loud. Sorry, guys. I know that would have been a shitty part of the stream. Here, I'll turn it down a bit. I'll turn it back up when we get dialogue, specifically during dialogue moments. So, can it be a teleporting tree that throws bombs? Maybe. Right, so we get... That's the last siege engine. And now it's just Kanak planting seeds for the wall. Which we could just wait for, I guess. He's at the base just standing there, so I guess I gotta do some of the other ones. Let's come up here. Nope, never mind. WP, do you think the Order of Shadows could be the next antagonist? I reckon that there's a chance for them to muddy the waters in an interesting way as the narrative now moves heavily over to Kralkatorrik. But I don't know how much they'll really do with that. Maybe something, but I wouldn't be surprised if almost nothing. So I want to try something here. I'm going to TP in, start the bomb cast, and then TP out. What happens? Yeah, it still works. That's kind of funny. So that was the last siege engine. So we got a plant seed here. I have personally noticed the difference between you playing Ranger and me personally playing a glassy melee build like Warrior or Hollowsmith. The Ranger is almost boring in combat, whereas I feel like I actually have to put an effort on Hollowsmith or Warrior. Yeah, and that's a big problem for the game. It's a big problem for how they handle stuff. Sorry, there's dialogue.
I could make this portable portal possible. But I'm starting to think I can't. It's still not large or stable enough to send an entire army through at once. I'm going to have to send them in waves.
It's okay, Blish. I'll head to the rift. Timey, start sending troops through.
Aye, aye.
Alright, okay, so yeah, they start talking about the limits of the portal very importantly. I'm very happy with that. I want to go see Kanak and see if he says anything. Yeah, like, it's a big thing. It's a big problem. It forces them almost to do stuff like this to excite the player base. Because they can't rely... Like, while a decent warrior player with a fun build, who understands the build craft and has had that experience, while they might be satisfied to have an entire Living World season that is just regular Guild Wars 2 combat, they might be satisfied to do that. If they had been trained in the early days of Guild Wars 2 to experiment with their builds a lot, to swap their weapons a lot, then they have the power and understanding and capability to have Guild Wars be fresh constantly, just because they'll be like, oh yeah, they can take their fun into their own hands. They'll be like, oh, I'll play a Gunflame Warrior this instance. Oh, I'm getting a bit bored of that. No worries, I'll run an Axe Spellbreaker now. I'm getting a bit bored of that. No worries, I'll run a block-heavy Mace Warrior. That stuff's all in Guild Wars 2. And that warrior player with that background and that understanding of Guild Wars 2 doesn't need much to love Guild Wars 2 and could happily play an entire season where the devs can do quite trivial instances with just, you know, regular bosses, simple mechanics, break bars as we understand them. They don't have to reinvent the wheel a million times for that warrior player who's been properly acclimated and understands Guild Wars. They don't have to. They don't have to be scared about relying on the combat that they built in 2012. But not everyone's that warrior. In fact, almost no one is that warrior. Most of the community has no idea what they're doing, has no idea the importance of blinds and blocks and dodging and all that kind of stuff, has no freedom and understanding to change builds, is scared to change up their gear, doesn't know how to take fun into their own hands, doesn't have positive fun experiences with just the regular gameplay. And because the vast majority of people are like that, and because the devs don't know, there's no like uniform skill base or gear base to extrapolate from and give people a unified experience. It's so different being that warrior versus being the noob that's being told to play a glass weaver, because that's what's in raids and so many people are. There's such a vast difference. How can you ever make a compelling boss fight that both players like? Well, you can't really. So to avoid having to deal with that all the time, they have to reinvent the wheel and do a stealth mission like this, where it's like, oh, you can play the regular game, or we'll give you this special action thing so you can learn a whole new thing. Because they have a baseline with this. It's like, this is new. Everyone's just learned it. We can easily get quality QA and feedback on this. So let's build a new baseline. And that's such a terrible thing for Guild Wars to be stuck in, and has been stuck in since Season 2. That's why even back when we had the Kaith stealth mission and stuff, it's so... because what's essentially happening here, guys, is think about how long it takes to develop this amazing instance. The instance itself isn't bad. There's all this beautiful quality and amazing stuff, but they made this because their back's against a wall of sorts. If they weren't forced and with their back against the wall to be like this, instead of this one instance, this Living World release could have been quadruple the length. Could have been so much longer because they're not having to reinvent the wheel. They have a standard. They understand what the gameplay is that people like and experience. They don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. And then they can just provide a ton of it to you. And there's much less work that has to go into that. So you can get a lot more gameplay out of it. And, you know, the resources are there for it. And that's like one of the most fundamental things that's happening with Guild Wars. Most people will play this patch and they'll be like,
they only gave me 2 hours of gameplay and then I'm gonna leave again for 3 hours. I read it and don't know what they're doing.
That's the response you get on the forums. But these people haven't got the slightest clue as to why the game is in the position it is. They'll say it's because the devs are lazy. They'll say it's because there's not real work that's gone in. That's not true. It's because their back's against a wall of sorts. And I'm telling you, it all comes down to tutorialization, the formative experience, and the fact that core Guild Wars 2 is a husk of an experience that has unwieldy player variation that comes out of it. 2 players that pick up this game as noobs and go through Corteria can come out at wildly different places based on the class they play and their interaction with the community. Wildly different. The problem is not everyone ends up as that warrior. Sorry for another rant. These rants are really tiring me out. I don't know why I keep ranting on these streams. I'm at that point where I feel like I'm just a pretentious twat and I need to shut up already. So I probably will very soon. Alright. So I could keep doing this and zapping them. Like here as well, let me just to be clear, even here you might be, well look WP, they forced it. This is the regular game now. You can leave your thing and this is regular gameplay. But again, just like with Corteria, they're still scared because this is almost AFKable. They still don't know an actual baseline of what people are capable of. So this is still tuned to be extremely easy and almost complete itself for you. It's not because I'm a ranger and I got a wyvern rolling around right now. They spam a ton of things. What they have to go for instead is, instead of having meaningful game, they go for spectacle. What's enthralling about this is the spectacle and the dialogue and stuff that comes in afterwards. But spectacle doesn't get developed cheaply or easily. It takes a lot of effort. And that's what I'm saying, you know. So anyway, let's... oh, I don't have to mess with the volumes. Volume should be okay right now, yeah? Let's merge with our Iboga and use some sweet-ass Iboga Condi skills. I'm actually taking big damage. I wonder what quality of life I've actually got here. I mean, I'm a ranger, so nothing matters because this skill exists. I'm going to go for the rally instead. Do I still have bombs on the N? We'll have to see. Let me grab this. Actually, something's really hitting me really hard. What is actually going on here? Again, this I basically auto-completed when I played before. This invalidates everything I just said, which is good. I swear to God, I should show you guys my footage of the first time I played through this. I forgot I do have some stances. Look at the damage I'm taking. This is nuts. Where are my allies? I thought I had tons of allies. I thought this whole thing just, like, auto-finished. Look at that. Army readiness. I got wiped. Where's the respawn? Right here. So I guess it doesn't matter anyway. Thanks for the invulnerability, ArenaNet. But, wow. When I played Warrior, this was over straight away. They were actually despawning most waves before they even got here. This is mental. What is all the pressure? Is it the turrets? Is it the Inquest turrets? It is. Look at those turrets. Wow. Jesus. Let's look at damage taken. Energy blast. 1,000, and they hit me about 1,000 times a second. Jesus. Well, let's attack these then. I can't Condi them either. That's interesting. Wow. Well, are these turrets always here? Why don't I remember these existing before? I have read death penalty. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Even with red death penalty, my worst thing now is my armor's going to break. But even that doesn't matter because I get auto respawn with FTT turret. I can recalibrate it by pressing F. Now that they're broken. Insufficient spare parts. Jesus. You can condy them in stealth mode with the 5. Didn't you read the patch notes? Rangers take net double damage. This is what I'm talking about, though. Because I'm a shit soul beast with no real understanding of what this build is or what's going on. This experience is so much harder and so different to when I was here on Spellbreaker. And with 2 players like that, I mean, it's an MMO, too, so you've got the multiplayer part to consider. Dialogue. Here we go. So what?
We'll take point. You with me? Sister, who is this?
Omicron! Our place is on the front with Whitlock Brimstone. Today we fight to take down a tyrant.
Okay, so they'll come in. I can't really fight while the audio's high because I gotta then turn it off. There's a lot of alt tabbing going on. Let's merge again. Is it valuable for me to just stay merged? I kind of don't like the way shortbow feels at the moment very much. I'm not saying shortbow's bad, just in this scenario I haven't really enjoyed it too much. We've got more guys over here. This feels normal again. This feels like it's auto-completing. Did something just very bizarre and specific happen to me with those turrets? Curious. Let's unmerge and now let the Aboga do its version of that stuff. Thoroughly. Should I just use the stances off cooldown? Like, I'm unfamiliar with a lot of this. You remember spending most of your time in stealth in this part too? Let the NPCs tank while you picked at things? I definitely didn't stealth this when I played it before. I literally just ran around pressing F2 and everything was dead. I completely fucked myself up there. I spammed F2 to pull it while then moving it out of an AoE. I longbow forward myself, essentially. That's funny. I'd be more embarrassed if I had any pride about my ability to play Soul Beast. You stealthed and took out the main threats. I wasn't even aware there were main threats here. I must admit. Let's remerge. Yeah. Really, it's just the 1 and the 2 that's the high pressure applicators here, so just get behind them and make sure you use that a lot. I think what it is as this goes along, the Omicrons start building up, right, and defending us.
Sending the next wave, Commander.
And now the Primeval Kings stay, and it just slowly becomes a nothing. But I'll note as well, look at how long this has been. I tried to use my skill 3 there, but I put myself in so much danger. Let's pet swap and get some quickness. Nice, that worked well with the Wyvern there. Pretty happy with that. Right, I'm going to pull away from these because I do feel like, never mind. Yeah, maybe I moved too far away that time and I should have been stealthed. Yeah, look at how long this instance is. I mean, literally the entire stream has been this one story step. One story step. We're an hour and 40 minutes in playing this. And I know I've gone slow, but, you know, I'm getting as much detail out of it as I can. It's kind of crazy, right? Before finishing this instance, go into stealth and throw Canax bombs into your army at the city. After doing the speech. Right, okay, so you want me to save a bomb or two? Because you do only get a limited number of them, right? Yeah, you can spam the Tato Rex, guys. Getting wrecked for sure. Let's merge with him, knock them back. I kind of want to play PvP Soul Beast. I wonder how effective it is. Seems like an interesting kind of finesse to have 2 weapon sets and 2 pet sets and 2 merge sets to fiddle around with at all times. Seems kind of fun. Let's do the big stab stack here. Oh, you can pick up more bombs from the pile. Okay. I mean, maybe I could trivialize this by just throwing bombs. We're still only 50% here. It's going really slow because I'm struggling at it. I like seeing the Omicron use druid stuff. Alright, let's see. Let's use the... No, I just got in combat again, so whatever. I was about to try and use the special action, but never mind. WP might learn to love the Ranger. I've never disliked playing Ranger. Never disliked playing it. I've never disliked it as a concept for an RPG. I think it's really cool. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite experiences in Guild Wars 1 was playing a Ranger / Paragon in team arenas, doing like basically pet thumping. That was, and I'm not talking about bunny thumping, literally with a hammer, like Ranger Warrior. I'm talking about Ranger Paragon. There was a specific build with feral. Anyway, it's good stuff. What did Timey say there? Anything big? I guess not. More Imaclan. Army readiness continuing to climb. On the minimap, we see we got 3 cells coming. Why roast Ranger? I haven't roasted Ranger. When have I roasted Ranger? Yeah, Touch Ranger was pretty annoying, I have to say. That is one variety of Ranger that I will never stand by. I think you missed a story bit. You can use the Blish kill to send bugs at the turret for spare parts and then claim the turret. We only said kill. What do you mean? So hold on. If I go into my special action, you're telling me I can throw bugs and use bugs to build the turrets, the FTT turrets. This one's inactive. Loses durability over time, can only be repaired by supplying spare parts and activating. I mean, I know that you get spare parts to trigger the meta in open world, right? That's a thing. For some reason, you love the concept of a melee pet class. Loved it in Warhammer with the White Lion. Enjoyed being a great sword ranger in core. Yeah, I think that's a cool concept too. You meant skill, not kill. Alright, hold on, let's see. You mean the skill 5? Is the skill 5 meant to unlock? How did I miss that? Oh dear. I don't think I got that. I missed the whole dialogue with Lich. Really? I didn't get that my first time through either. How is that possible? When? When is that supposed to fire? Really? I didn't get that my first... What? Skill 5. Get it by going to a turret. I already went to the turrets before. It didn't do anything. Here's an active one. What, do I have to be out of combat, maybe? And in the form? It just says insufficient spare parts. That would explain why I don't... That would explain why I don't really know the whole FTT thing. It's before the Kanak bit, is it now? Ah.
I can smell the pestilence in the air.
Me too. Ugh, gross.
I'm glad I don't have olfactory glands anymore. Note to self. Make sure to get my arm back.
Forget doors. Let's kick in some teeth.
All right. And I mean, I'll credit this whole bit as well. It's very cool. It's really cool seeing everybody coming through. It's cool seeing Bram. It's cool seeing, like, all the separate parts coming together, you know? It was really around now. Well, it was earlier than this, I think. But, you know, it was very much on my mind as I played this. It was like, holy crap, this is like... This is war. This patch is about going to war with Joko, which I could have easily been the finale as far as I was concerned. We could have easily had several more episodes of ramp up and build into that, but they just didn't have the time to spend that long on it. So, yeah, really, really cool. Why is army readiness still... Am I still supposed to be defending on my own? Surely not. I'm supposed to move up, aren't I? You think this episode nailed the sense of scale? I mean, it did well with the sense of scale. It really did. Cool to not see Logan as he's kind of annoying. I don't know, is he annoying? That's weird. The army readiness bar seemed to bug there. I don't know what was going on with that. I like Logan a lot. I don't find him annoying in current story, even remotely annoying. I feel like that's just an easy opinion to form from early in the personal story and, you know, when he was whining with Ritlock, but That's like so far away now. There's been so much character development since then.
First waves are present and accounted for, Commander. More on the way soon.
Okay, everyone, listen up. If you're human, stay behind the bramble walls. Your role is support only. Ritlock, Rox, Bram, lead the Olmecon and Ghost Legions to the front lines. The Scarabs will be the thickest there. Timey, where are the Corsairs?
Moving into position in the cove to the southwest. But they're human, and that is on the other side of the walls.
Risky. But we need them to keep Joko from launching plague ships. Ritlock, make sure they get some support. Zain, command your Sun Spears from the main camp. Send them scouting north to protect our flank.
Understood, Commander. My people won't become incubators for Joko's plague.
Theron, since you're here, the same goes for you and your recruits. Think you're up to protecting our supply lines?
I've trained them myself. I think we're up to much more than that, Commander.
I promise you this isn't busy work. The war is lost if our supplies break down. I need you to make Kryta proud.
I assure you, we will.
This is it, people. We've managed to catch Joko off guard. We have one chance to stop him. The fate of 2 continents hangs in the balance. Are you with me? Let's show that sick Lich he's bitten off more than he can chew.
Can I have my arm back now?
All right. Awesome. So someone said to throw a bomb. They're not all going to run off too quickly for me to be able to... Well, maybe they will. Maybe I should do it now. Let's see. And we'll obviously talk about what happened afterwards. Whoa! What? It actually kills them all. Jesus Christ. Is there any dialogue for that? Wow. I can't believe that that's a mechanic. I can't believe they let you do that. That's insane. That's kind of cool. Thornwall Shapers here, by the way. I find these quite interesting because it's like they had an idea for more story about the Thornwall and then just didn't do it in the end. Like, what is this? By this crack squad of Sylvari meant to have built it, but in the end they just had Kanak. It's strange, isn't it? I think this is weird. And the idea of a mass of Sylvari, where did these guys come from? They're not necessarily affiliated with a pack. They're just like here now. I don't know. And there's so many Sylvari as well. Watch the rift. They come back now. Watch the... What are you talking about? Should have been the Pale Reavers. That would have been an interesting thing of doing it. You want me to go back over to the rift? Really? Yeah, okay. Did they say anything at the rift? So they walked to the rift and now they're walking back? Why did they do that? I don't understand that either. Yeah, it's obvious that the fucking Sylvari are in the open world and are defending the wall. The point is that they're just randomly introduced. There's no introduction for them. That there were going to be more story to introduce and talk about where they came from. That's the point. I'm not saying that they don't do anything. I'm saying that they're kind of suddenly thrown in and Kanak just builds the wall instead. Does that make sense? Oh, the ones from the rift. Oh, I see. I see, so I can kill them and then they come back out of the rift. I see. That's crazy. That's so weird. I can't believe the devs allowed everyone to die and also to put in a little respawn mechanism. That's so strange. I mean, admirable that there's like a very small detail like that. Wow. So yeah, anyway, the dialogue. Someone said, I really love this. It's one of the first times I felt like a real commander. Yeah, here they are. Look at this. To me, I felt like a commander at several junctions before. I really have. I don't know, though. If you don't pay too much attention to the game, I think this is definitely a big, really satisfying starting one. I know that sounds a bit patronizing, as though, oh, you only feel that because you don't follow the game very closely. Yeah, that's a perfectly legitimate feeling if this was the first time you felt like one. I really think it comes down to your character as well, though. I felt like a commander on my Norn. I don't really know how much like a commander I felt on Yak here. But the Norn is just so big and powerful, and like, I don't know, he just fits that role really comfortably. It feels a bit weird when I have to look up at everyone and they're all just sort of looking down. I also like how they're not like super on the nose about it, like, oh, everybody is looking to you. It just like naturally happens. Everybody's looking at you, and it just feels like, you know, it's just flowed to that point. We've not all sat down and said, I am your leader. You know, one of the problems with the whole Trahearne thing might have been the way that they put the brakes on everything, so that they, you know, and put a megaphone to your ear to say, Trahearne is going to be the leader now. His story is a scholar that is becoming a general, and everyone is going to have to look at him, even though he lacks confidence. You know, like they put sirens around it. Here, for us, it's just like, no, this is who you are. You're the commander, and no matter where you go, you find allegiances and form them and forge them, and you get to work. And I like the way that this did that. Conchi Jason says, about the center scale, did you notice the way the NPCs in the final instance have no collision in stats? I think that's them. Yes, I did notice that. We talked about that on the stream already, because it happens in this instance too. I did a whole little pointless, boring conversation about it. But yeah, that will come back on the next instance, and we'll talk about it when we get to the next instance as well, or the final instance. You think that Trahearne's problem as well was his tone? I get that. I do get what people say about his delivery. Sometimes he is pretty flat. I do agree with that. It is a bit dry sometimes. Yeah. So, yeah, sorry, Conchi. We did talk about it because there's, like, the pack. I really don't think it's done very well in this instance. And the last instance, when they do it again, it's really awesome. But, yeah, so that's it. I don't think there's any extra dialogue. And look at that, man. I mean, another thing I have to applaud. I mean, it is so good. Look at how long this instance is. Look how long that took for us to go through. I mean, I've gone through so many different phases and stages of opinions of, like, instances versus not instances, and whether we should look at the Guild Wars 1 campaign format and how Guild Wars 2's evolution comes from that. It's just, it's so different now. The game is so different. You can't even, you know, that was longer than a Guild Wars 1 campaign mission, but it's really broken it with the way that Guild Wars 2 does the checkpoints in the middle. They really just use instances as a tool to tell a story that flits in and out of instances. Instances may take 3 minutes. An instance may have a ton of combat in it. It may have very little combat. It may have challenging combat. It may have easy combat. It's so wrong to think of, it's evolved so far beyond the whole campaign versus primary quest, open world versus instance, that it's kind of a beautiful thing to see now, that I can get 2 hours of gameplay and I'm not even really thinking about the fact I'm in an instance during it. The fact we're in an instance is just to satisfy a few criteria so that the open world later can be couched at a certain moment. So that the open world can be, okay, a great staging ground once the wall is erected and blah, blah, blah. And I really like that, you know? It feels so natural. Give me a 5-hour instance if you want. It doesn't matter anymore, you know? If it's what the story calls for, then it's what the story calls for. So yeah, and now we're out. I will get a little bit of dialogue from Zaim here, who gets to be in the patch too, and I was very happy to see. So Spear Marshal Zaim, how's it going, man?
Spear Marshal, report.
My Sun Spears are all deployed. We do have a few concerns, Commander. A Corsair ship crash-landed to the south, beyond the barriers. Survivors are largely human, and the enemy's pressing in.
I'll handle it.
Also, a scout reported trouble at a farm north of here. Scarab eggs. And another scout saw a Hylic tribe getting harassed by Awakened. They might make for new allies.
If we're adding to the to-do list, Goric claims he has something that is quote-unquote the biggest thing since the invention of the wheel to show you.
Understood. Keep up the good work.
I love how, even though we are maybe a bit questionable in the commander role, the game feels really cohesive anyway because of all the Asura in the story when you play an Asura to me, so it like balances itself. But yeah, so this is kind of the main part of the patch. I already talked about this on last weekend's streams. This is where, when you speak to the people...
The bramble walls were a stroke of genius, if I do say so myself.
You get the dialogue, and you get the double up thing, where it silences the second one, and now we can speak to everyone, and you kind of got a lot of the flavor from this part of the story on those streams there before. We do also now meet our herald, and there's all of that fun stuff. I'm gonna stop it there though. Now that we're at corner, I think we can do the herald and all of the lore and extra dialogue in the final instance on the next corner stream, and we will have finished Long Live the Lich story with that probably. We get to see the Corsairs and all of that. We could probably get it all done by then. Yeah, the repeated dialogue thing. If you double tap, you can get the dialogue repeated to know you've exhausted everything, but they don't voice act the second one if you do it quick enough, so it doesn't sound super unimmersive where you hear them say with the exact same tone and it brings you out of it a bit. You love how the main NPCs are on the map are disappearing instead of just in the story and disappearing. Yeah, like Ritlock is a renowned high NPC. Exactly. That is literally, that's them looking at Heart of Thorns. A beautiful thing happened, I think, that they learned with Verdant Brink. And that was that you can have secondary characters frozen in time in the maps. And everyone loves it and it works. Farron can be found in this map. And Farron can be found in this map. It's a beautiful thing that they learned, that they could do it with secondary characters here. And now, one expansion down the road, we realize that they've realized that it's possible everywhere now. Not just secondary characters. Have it with your main characters. Just go nuts with it. Have Ritlock as a heart NPC. And Farron can be in 2 places at once, and it works. And that's great. This is one of the things you could see that they were even... experimenting with back in Guild Wars 1, like Prince Rurik, spoilers, an Ascalonian character that's heavily involved in the story, dies, right? And because he dies, you never find Rurik in any open world map, or no, sorry, in any persistent area of the game, any of the outposts. You can't find him in any of those because the devs knew that once he was dead, they didn't want you to have that immersion breaking thing where you go back, so you could see that they were mindful of that. You did find him in instances, which was everywhere, all the explorables. You did find him there because once he died, they could despawn him. But they couldn't do it in all the persistent places. And so then they experimented with that and played with that in different ways with lots of different NPCs around Guild Wars 1 as time went forward. When Guild Wars 2 came out, they were still very wary of that and they were still very scared. That's why you don't find Ritlock in his office in the Black Citadel after a certain point in the story, because they don't want that idea of him being in 2 places at once. But a beautiful happened at Verdant Brink, and they realized, as first of all with the secondary characters, that they could be at 2 places at once. And we see them doing so many cool things. Ritlock is a heart NPC. Fine, let's do it. Wish devs would make the game harder in story instances. Been playing Guild Wars 1 and it feels like night and day. Yeah, Guild Wars 1 is a game. Guild Wars 2 is not a game. I mean, I know that sounds really snobby and arseholey and dickish and wrong for me to say, but there's a very real comment in there. It's in terms of gameplay, all the Golden Path stuff in Guild Wars is not really a game. Not unless they reinvent the wheel for you under your nose, like we saw here. So often it's not a game. But they can't do that. They can't make Guild Wars 2 a game at the moment because there's no baseline of understanding what quality the players are at. Guild Wars 1, there was that baseline of understanding. There was. And they could figure that stuff out. And even if that became unwieldy over the years, another beautiful thing, they made Guild Wars 2 because they were moving away from the campaign format of stuff, yes. But one beautiful thing about the Guild Wars 1 campaign idea, which was that every time they did, instead of an expansion, they just reset it. They gave you a new set of tutorials, a new set of leveling areas, a new story, and a new region of the world. They rebuilt everything every time for the campaigns. And the devs didn't like that, which was one of the reasons Utopia was cancelled and we went to Guild Wars 2. They didn't like that, but an advantage of the campaign format was that they had that reset every time. Nightfall could be a game again, and they could re-establish a baseline, and they could have quality, they could trust in their QA, they could trust in their playtesters, because they reset that baseline every time. They reset it with Istan. They reset it. Guild Wars 2 Istan didn't reset it because it's expansion, and it constantly just tacks on to the end of a broken core. So their problems become baggage that never goes away. In Guild Wars 1, their problems didn't necessarily become baggage that never went away. I mean, in a way it did. One of the things that was really bad about Nightfall was the learning curve was really steep, because you didn't just have to learn your class, but all the heroes' classes and all the mechanics and all the new mechanics and all the new varieties of skills they were adding. So learning curve was getting worse and worse and worse each time they did the reset, and that's a very important part of this, but at least they had a reset. You know what I mean? I feel like you're making very dogmatic statements. Can kind of understand why JP blew up. Yeah, I'm quite dogmatic. I am. I'm quite arrogant and sure of myself. Definitely. I would hate to. I know I wouldn't have the constitution to listen to my own know-it-allism. I mean, I'm so. Ugh. Honestly, I know exactly what you mean there. But I believe in what I'm saying. I really do. And I think enough other people also believe in what I'm saying. And I think I justify what I say reasonably well. I'm not telling you have to think the same way as me, but I am trying to explain how my opinion has got to what it is after 11 years following the franchise. I like how you got some additional males in the story, such as the one from Camilla and Debbie. Yeah, I mean, Camilla's so cool to talk about. Is it Camilla? What is actually her name? Let's see. It's kind of bad. I don't even remember, right? Winner potatoes versus winner potatoes.
Commander,
yeah, basically.
I'm on the verge of something incredible. I need your help. This could change everything.
Didn't the dev say it's more like a TV show? Yeah, I mean, their philosophies are completely different now. And deliberately and intentionally so. Guild Wars 1 would still be here if they liked the campaign format. And they didn't, and that's fine, and that's fair. And a lot of great has come from moving away from it. I mean, one of the brutal truths is Nightfall didn't sell that well. It might be because of the release cadence. It was just 6 months after Factions, and they're going too hard too fast, and they went bent over backwards and destroyed themselves to do it in such a small window, and it didn't even sell that well. But most people forget that at this point. Is it Camilla? Yeah, the Guild Wars 2 waifu. Let's go look at her. Let's see.
Commander! I'm on the verge of something.
If we clone
incredible.
WP and make others work for Renet, would they argue with themselves? I would argue. So if there was another me, I would honestly argue quite furiously with some stuff. You just got to catch me at the right time, and my opinion will be a complete 180 of what it was before. But I'll vehemently defend it to the death. Yeah, it's Camilla, Lady Camilla. Do you think they should make Living World require previous episodes? That would free them? Oh, that's a difficult one. I think that would destroy their own player base. Yeah, Factions and Nightfall were 6 months apart. Yeah, literally 6 months. And look at how big and amazing Nightfall was. I mean, it's extraordinary. I'd love the devs to go out online and publicly talk about some of the stress they were probably under making Nightfall, what that was like, because there's got to be so much value in people hearing those stories.
This could change everything.
Her surname starts with E. Yeah, but E is so mysterious that
We stand for the weak and helpless.
that's too obvious. It's not her. It's Farron. It's Farron, people. We don't know how much of Factions and Nightfall was already made during Prophecies. None of it. Definitely zero Nightfall. We do know. Watch the making of Nightfall documentary. We do know that none of it. They split a segment of people away in the later period of Factions, I think it was. Factions development to do Nightfall. So there was in tandem development going on, I think, at one point. But in general, it was definitely not definitely not Prophecies.
Commander,
there was nothing on Nightfall or even Factions when
this
Prophecies was finished.
Everything.
Who knows? People who watched the documentary. Oh, sorry. You're talking about something. I think if it was Camilla, she would have dropped more hints. I want to say the fact that added the Herald was to say she's a different person. Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's how I feel too. Truth is, E is so mysterious the devs don't even know. Yeah, I think that the devs didn't know. I definitely don't think they knew in Season 1. Let's be honest. Even up through the first half or entirety of Season 2, I say this with all love, okay? A lot of the writing team were just pulling stuff out of their ass and throwing it in the game, right? Like when they like even Ritlock going to the Mists has been confirmed. They didn't know what that was going to be when they did it, right? And it was quite a late, even around Heart of Thorns, they didn't know what that was going to be. It was a later, more retroactive thing to them finally resolve at Path of Fire, and we've talked greatly about the issues that came from that. A ton of the Living World Season 1 stuff was just kind of put in directionless, and they were hoping to tie up at the end, Carlton Cuse, Damon Lindelof style, and sometimes it hadn't gelled. I'm almost 100% confident that they didn't know. They openly admit to not knowing the answers to several mysteries, even still now. Because, you know, it's a collaborative thing. Not everything's hard and fast. When they write, you might like the idea of having a mystery, but not settled on the answer just yet. And that's quite a common thing in writing, to be honest. It's not something worthy of hate.
I'm on the verge of something incredible. I need your help. This could change
Yeah, the mysterious stranger from Season 2, Costage. I'm still excited about that. I still wonder about that. I think they dropped the idea of E, then it wasn't until Head of the Snake he was still on the radar. I don't think they ever dropped it. I think that they have, Jessica Price talked about this, a lot of debt.
Commander!
And they have to balance story debt with whatever they really want to talk about now. You know, Palawa Joko could be described as story debt. So they've got to deal with him and talk about him and go. And there's so much story debt. E is story, and I'm sure they're aware of it. It's just where perfectly to splice him in. You'd be so happy if E ended up as a Quaggan.
Don't tell me they
Marjorie's story would be very weird to read, understanding E as a Quaggan. And let me just tell you that. That would be very strange. I feel really weird and unsettled today. I don't know why. I feel like... Have I said something really shitty or bad? I feel guilty about things I've talked about. I don't know why. I feel like I've been too much of a snob. I don't know. I'm probably just fatigued. We've done a lot of really heavy chat about loads of things over the weekend. You're convinced the Wizard's Tower never had any real story outside of the Gareth quest? Me too. Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's fine. That's not a problem. They can retroactively see what people were excited about and add story to it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a perfectly natural, normal thing to do. And all that matters is at the end of the road, if everything in the products fits. That's all that matters. I don't care if you didn't have an answer initially concepted. I'm sure that they hadn't thought deeply about the Wizard's Tower. It's just a cool prop in the environment. There's loads of stuff like that in Guild Wars 1. There's like random orbs and runes and glowing things in swamps and all over the place. That maybe one day they'll go back and be like, oh yeah, we'll give an answer to that. Cool, fine. I don't care if you decided to do that in 2019 instead of 2005 when it was first put in the game. It doesn't matter to me as long as you get the, as long as it's not a retcon and as long as there's some coherence. That's it. That's all that matters. It's not our job as consumers to go any deeper than that, I think, personally. It doesn't hinder my enthusiasm to realize that the Wizard's Tower probably had nothing deeper. It doesn't hinder my enthusiasm that much to realize their internal wiki's probably a bit shit. It doesn't hinder my enthusiasm that much, as long as they pull Bastion of the Penitent quality stuff when they do pick up the stories again. And I don't say that as a loosely related thing. I mean, literally, Saul D'Alessio getting grabbed and taken away. That story, that mystery, I'm perfectly happy to admit and understand that they probably had no idea where he was going or what was happening with that. When they did that in the bonus mission pack, when they looked at that lore way back with the release of Prophecies and that background as to what happened to Kryta, probably had no idea where or if that should ever go anywhere or had anything concrete. And then some devs in 2015 sat down and said, let's do this story in a raid, and they knocked it out of the park and provided one of the coolest things this franchise has ever had. Bastion of the Penitent. I don't give a shit if that wasn't raped down before 2015. Doesn't matter. Deimos is awesome. The ideas of the demon realm and all that is awesome. They did a great payoff. Talent is what matters at the end, you know? There's only one thing that's ever existed in all the Guild Wars franchise that is better than Bastion of the Penitent, and that's preemptively interrupting Giant Stomp. Just remember that, guys. One day they'll beat that experience, that feeling. Razor in Guild Wars 2. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Are you gonna do Razor in Guild Wars 2? Oh. Could the mysterious stranger be Balthazar? Oh, I'd have to think a lot more about the timelines and stuff like that. It's probably something really basic that's obvious that that's not correct. Burden of Choice was an interesting event. It's a shame they dropped it. Yeah, it is. That was the whole Shadowstone thing was pretty thrilling to me.
Incredible. I need your help.
We're not ranting about anything. I feel really like conflicted and bad at the moment because I feel like I've ranted way too much. You're still holding on. Raza has connection to Menzies based on their 2 weapons in game that have similar skins. I would like to see something on Menzies. I think that story debt. Balthazar, what the hell? Explaining how Balthazar does an a 180 and all this stuff about the Forge, the Shadow Army, the thing from the Knights of Fire instance, the stuff to do with Lissa, that is debt on the level, if not beyond, Joko. So I'm hoping that the rest of the season takes a sharp turn towards that again. I really am. Menzies leads the Order of Shadows. I'm convinced. Ooh, Z Fruit Bat. That's a fun one. That is a fun one. Hey, and that's nice consolidation of 2 different things that they're kind of flirting with. Hey, that's good. You got me a little bit excited there.
I can taste ashes on the wind.
That would be a very efficient little knot to tie in 2 disparate things. It does fit very well. Low evidence right now, but speaking from the back forwards, it works.
Commander, I'm on the verge of something incredible. I need your help. This could change everything.
It's after Ritlock went to the mist, but Ritlock went through the portal before him in the Path of Fire cutscene. Ah, I see. What's the indicator for the Order of Shadows being antagonistic? Here, we did it on a stream 2 weekends ago because we're in the middle of 2 playthroughs right now. One of the core story, the other of the most recent patch. I'll let you listen to it here on stream now. I'll give you the suggestion that they're antagonists. In the 4th map of the expansion, the Desolation, there are pieces of a journal that you can pick up, and they were written by a member of the Order of Shadows. Sorry, no. They were written by a member of the Order of Whispers, who, I think it's you. I hope it's you. They were written by a member of the Order of Whispers who's learning about the Order of Shadows and what they're up to, because they're 2 branches of the same organization that have split up. So there's an Order of Whispers person reporting on the activities of the Order of Shadows. This is from the 4th map of the expansion itself. You get a lore book that you can listen to, and I'll play it for you now as long as I have the book. I think it's on this character. Here you go, Mission Dispatches. So listen to this.
I've been sent to learn about the Order of Shadows, how they strayed so far, why they ignore our requests for collaboration. First step is information, and for that I need local contacts. So far, every line of inquiry we've pursued has failed. Balthazar's invasion and Joko's absence makes this a unique opportunity for discovery. I will not let the Preceptors down. Successfully infiltrated the mines. Strong Shadows influence here. Nobody's talking, though. It'll take time to build enough trust to exploit. Even with my Vabian ancestry, this is dicey, dangerous. Progress. After some strong hints, I was sympathetic to their cause, and some stronger Alonian wine. The mine foreman let slip he works with Shadows. An associate, not an agent. I can use that, and him. Met with 2 confirmed Shadows associates. Astonishing. To them, we are the ones who lost our way. To them, Joko is a more pressing threat than Kralkatorrik, or any Elder Dragon. Bombshell. Shadows is a splinter group. Original Whispers still here, further south than Alona proper. They rejected Shadows' exclusive focus on Joko. Schism formed. Shadows began parallel operations. Secured proof that Shadows plays all sides off each other to keep the status quo churning and exploitable. They advance Joko's cause one day, Sun Spears the next. A very dangerous game. Troubling. Confirmed that Shadows sacrifices innocents simply to protect their ability to influence events. Schemes that only serve to perpetuate more schemes. Do they even have an endgame?
That's the bit.
I think they're on to me. Both of my primary contacts have gone missing, and my secondaries refuse to acknowledge me. There's so much more to learn, but I fear it's no longer safe to learn it. My cover's definitely blown. Strangers tried to follow me home. I gave them the slip, but this will be my last dispatch. If Shadows knows what I'm up to and where to find me...
So, I mean, they're sacrificing innocents just to keep control, to influence things. They assassinated. I mean, one part of this that I haven't talked about enough on the streams is they fucking killed a man. They literally assassinated him for being in the Order of Whispers. They killed him for being in the Order of Whispers. So that was the bit from the expansion itself. Then in Living World, and especially episode 1, one of their members was like really shady. He said he'd be there to help us at a prison and then wasn't. Though our commander didn't talk about that at all, as far as I remember, which is interesting that the story never shed light on it. There was another fact as well. There's just weird little things that doesn't line up about them. So the idea that they're being manipulated by Menzies works a lot, as he was a deceiver and stuff. They could do some fun things with that. I do like that. I don't know, man. He didn't get assassinated. He choked on his dinner while writing. That's great. Yeah, all right. Do you think if we went to Cantha, the stuff with the Ministry of Purity might get samey? Well, I kind of want them to subvert our expectations when it comes to the Ministry of Purity, in that everything about Guild Wars 1 and the movement of the world and Winds of Change was all about making them antagonists for that continent. And I am 100% in the belief that they did that because they were genuinely going to be antagonists in that continent. But that expectation has been there for so long. We've waited so long for Cantha now, probably far longer than the devs originally envisaged. And so much of that similar territory has already been explored by Guild Wars 2 that I really like the idea of the devs going in a completely different direction with it. And I don't mean ignore that the Ministry of Purity ever happened, but just to surprise us somehow with how the exact state, this Ministry of Purity and their exact strength, their ability to flip-flop, whatever. I think that there's something fun they could do there by subverting that expectation that, yeah, they're just going to be another antagonist. Because am I really that excited about, oh, look, they're all xenophobes, let's go take them out? Not really. I'm not that excited about that story. I like, nearly everything I think about that excites me about Cantha is stuff like... just like messing with our expectations and surprising us. Like another one that I've always really enjoyed the thought of is that we go to Cantha to tell them to stop, because we're trying to make sure that the world doesn't get destroyed by the destruction of the Elder Dragons. And we go to Cantha and we realize they've already killed an Elder Dragon, like just on their own. They don't give a shit, and they're just like complete ballers, and they've got this ridiculous technology maybe, or magical aptitude. So much has happened there under our nose, away from us. They've destroyed an Elder Dragon, and I really would like that as well, because that would resolve some other weird issues and niggles with the game where it's like we feel too powerful, we've enacted too much change. And they do some beautiful stuff in this patch with the Joko conversation to express that, like, wow, you've done so much, and they are addressing that niggle in some great ways. But I think that'll be another way to do it as well, and basically say, you know what, the commander is very cool and we're not going to take anything away from him, and they've done something ridiculous, but Canthans also got their shit together, and they have an equivalent of the commander who did this. And you know, that can be a source of antagonism. There's a conversation that hasn't happened in the game with Logan, leader of the Pact, where after Flashpoint, which was basically, it's a very profound thing for us to say, let's not kill Elder Dragons. Everything's been about fighting that fight. And there's a really fascinating, exciting idea for a schism to form, and for conversation to happen, where some people are like, no, that we have to kill the dragons, and other people are like, no, we have to keep them alive. And that's a great opportunity for interpersonal conflict between the peoples of Tyria. And that conversation could have happened with a pact. It hasn't, And I wonder whether maybe they're just sort of delaying it until we can have that conversation, but we're going to have that conversations with Canthans. And maybe that's where the conflict with the Ministry of Purity comes. Not this kind of boring, oh, they're xenophobes, let's fight them. But this fundamental shit, what do we do? They've killed one Elder Dragon, and now maybe they're hunting bubbles. And, like, you know, that's a thrill to me. That kind of stuff, I think, is better for Cantha to go into. So, someone in chat talking about the Blood Legion as well. I mean, yeah, or we don't even go to Cantha and we go Blood Legion instead. And Blood Legion have a similar view. Yeah, exactly. And show the strength of the Char. It's very Blood Legion to just want to hunt the dragons. It's very Blood Legion. Isn't that all of Bram's story right now? It is. Bram's story, you're right, does definitely touch on that on a personal level, on an individual level. A grief-fueled level. But I'm talking more about a conflict of societies and philosophies and like actual measured understanding, not just, oh, I want to avenge my mom, and like, I mean, that's a fun story to go into too, and they've done it with Bram, but I want to see more sort of high level, a council of people coming together and saying, look, it's a tough choice, but we can't let these dragons ravage us anymore. Look at what they've done to Echovald. Look at what they've done here or here or here, you know. We have to deal with this, sorry, but we're going to hunt it down and you can't stop us. I think that that's sufficiently different.
Huh.
You want to go back to the Realm of Torment now that it's breaking apart to demons and stuff? They set that up for a reason. Yeah, I mean, I think raids might do that, though. There's such a... I mean, the essence of all lore speculation these days, really, I think, is not which stories actually will be paid off on. I actually think the devs are getting very good at making it clear what they view as realistic debt to service and what not. I think they're getting very good at that, and I think there's much better expectations of what we're getting and what we're not, which is why the lore community is thriving where other communities in Guild Wars aren't. I think that's all very well and good. The question isn't what will actually be paid off. The question is, where will it be paid off? I do think that we'll get stuff on Menzies. I do think we'll get stuff, deeper stuff to do with Lister and Balthazar. But is it Golden Path or is it Silver Path? Are they going to make that a raid, a fractal? Are they going to make it a current event? Or are they going to make it big dick, straight up, Living World release, map associated with it and all that, right? Like, that's where the real discussion happens these days, I think, anyway. Do you think they'll touch more on the weapon that they showed during the Path of Fire story, the one that was supposed to use Aurene to balance the world? Are you talking about the spear? Sorry? The spear, I think, will come back too. Definitely. And again, I think that will be Golden Path. I think that'll be main story. You're convinced Razza is Abaddon's son? Well, in the sense that he's a machination and a demon, a construct that was created. Are you trying to suggest that Raz is a god or something, like a human son almost, in a way? I don't know. You could consider him a son in the way you might consider many demons and tormented creatures and stuff in the Realm of Torment were. Son isn't the word I'd use, but... Yeah, the Dragon Blood Spear was destroyed. When I say it will come back, I'm not talking about physically that the spear will come back and we use it. I mean that plot thread, that element will come back. Obviously. I don't know about making a new spear. Maybe. But the people who built the spear and all of that stuff... feels like a very weird thing to revive from the novel just to throw away again straight away. You meant the one at Kesho. I didn't really interpret that as a weapon, as a physical thing. I thought that was more of a metaphorical discussion about the Elder Dragon cycle. What, they were talking about building a war machine? We played that very recently. I don't remember them talking about building a war machine. Also, Magdea. I mean, yeah, like I said, this bit of the stream started with me saying there's a lot of story debt. There's a lot. Magdea, we might see that they compare with Logan. One thing that makes me a little sad is that a lot of what dictates the stories we get in the writing is just how efficiently they can pair shit together.
Accept all gifts with a smile.
But I mean, it would be smart to. What happened to Kunavang at the end of Factions? I don't remember any explicit detail about what happened to her. She certainly had no extra development in Nightfall, Eye of the North, or Winds of Change. I don't think she even gets referenced in Winds of Change. Does she get referenced in Winds of Change? I seem to remember maybe some Winds of Change content near the Harvest Temple, which is sort of ish where she was. That's actually quite extraordinary, the thought that Kunavang didn't have any involvement in Winds of Change. I remember so little of Winds of Change. I should do a stream series on Winds of Change, really. If they announce a Canthan expansion next, you can bet your bottom dollar I'll do that. You'll get playthroughs of that stuff. I know I said I don't like always going back to Guild Wars 1, but just as a refresher. Picture this, a top Krauk about to get snaff. Aurene flies over the ground. We have a vision of the Pact fighting the Branded. Ritlock and Logan fighting back-to-back with Sahothin and Magdare. Uncle Beamish's magic sword. Sounds amazing, Benji. 10 out of 10. I quite like this discussion. Instead of zerging around Lion's Arch, walking really slowly and getting the sense of the world back because we're not rocketing on a beetle. Do you think they have dropped the Char and Human Air subplot? The one that's been going on since Season 2 and was touched in Season 3? I wouldn't really describe it as having going on, but yes, I think Angel McCoy basically confirmed that when she left that was dropped because that was something she was interested in telling, and then she stopped writing for Living World and left because, well, what was the circumstances of her departure? She was one of the women who I put their tweet at the end of my video very recently. There's an ex-dev chiming in on the JP controversy. Yeah, having Kunavang and Winds of Change could have diminished the entire plot because you could just ally with an ancient powerful dragon and say GG. I get it. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it does kind of diminish it a little bit. All right, guys. I kind of don't want to stop streaming, and I don't know why. It's because I don't know. I feel like I've said some dumb stuff or something. I'm not sure what it is. I just feel weird and vaguely unsettled today. I hope you've had fun. I hope I haven't annoyed someone. I don't know why I've got this weird feeling, but that's it. I'm done with the streams for the week. You'll see me again on Saturday, where hopefully I will have chilled out and we can just relax. I think the point is I've come to yesterday's and today's streams just to relax, and I'm going like really off the deep end. Dogmatic's a good word to describe it. Just like, I don't know why I'm like this at the moment. I didn't necessarily want to, I just wanted to chill. But there you go. Lots of lore discussion. I hope you guys had fun. And don't forget, there's an 1.5-hour video. If you like this silky, beautiful, smooth Wooden Potatoes voice, you can get another 1.5 hours of it over on YouTube right now, where I'm talking about the devs, all the insights that came from the AMA, and the calm before the storm, if you will, of all the quotes between Jessica and Peter Freeze. So you can have fun over there, and the Let's Play. And now that the streams are done, I can focus on other stuff, and I'm hoping that the LP will be back very, very soon. So cheers, guys. Hope you enjoy. And I'll see you next time.